Ibadan. We were young, and they left us behind in Lagos. Myself, my sister, Yetunde, and my brother Ladipo. Yetunde and I were living with the Adelajas
Okay.
at CMS Grammar
No school
School.
compound.
Yeah, Mrs. Adelaja is the senior sister to my mother. And Ladipo was staying in Ibadan with my mother's junior sister. When they settled in England, they sent for us. I was about 5 or 6. Yetunde was, that's my junior sister, was about 5. We went to join them. And we were with them there for many, many years. We went to school, went to university, started work. My father qualified, worked in various companies and organizations, and at a period in time, he decided that he was coming back to Nigeria. And he decided to come and work with the company he was working with in the UK then. And they brought him back, and he was in Kano.
What company was that?
That Rally Bicycles.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And he rose to become the managing director of Rally Bicycles. They came back with Yetunde. I stayed in the UK. I was then, by the time they came back, I had left school, I had left university. I was in the British Army. And I spent some time in the British Army, in the Ordnance Corps. Wow. And that was where I got the love for video communications and all of those kind of things, apart from the fact that I was a sportsman. So those were the two things I was doing. And when I left the army, I spent 3 years there, came out of the army, and I was looking at what to do. And I realized that in all this period that my parents had left me. My sister had left me, and here I was in England. And by that time, I spent like 16, 17 years in the UK. I'd never been to Nigeria during that period.
That explains your Yoruba.
Yes. So, yeah, why I don't speak Yoruba well, and why you love to hear me speaking Yoruba and like to laugh at me. It's okay, I understand. And
yes, now.
yeah, and all my friends who are Yoruba love laughing at me and give me funny looks, but it's okay, I'm used to that too. So I decided I was going to come back and visit my parents and come and see what Nigeria was like. And I came, bought a ticket, and went to Kano. And I want to tell you a funny story, because when I was coming back to Nigeria to visit, I decided I was going to look, amazing. That when I arrived at the airport, everybody was know that this guy just landed from England, and that there was going to be, everything was going to be there. I'll just pick up the phone, I'll go to the public telephone, I'll call my mom. I said, guess what? Because it was meant to be a surprise. I'm in Nigeria,
yeah,
and all of that. So that's what I did. And I landed at Kano Airport. And I asked them, I said, please, I need a public telephone to call my parents. This is like 1980. And the guys were all looking at me. Who is this guy? public telephone, what? And I didn't have the address where they were living. All I knew as of that time was my father was the financial director of Rally Bicycles. That's all I knew when I landed in Kano. So I came out with my stuff. I called a taxi driver and I said, look, this is where I'm going. I want to go and look for this man. I want to go to the factory. And it was funny because that was the same man when my parents arrived in Nigeria.
The same man?
Yes, that took them to their home in Alu Avenue.
In Kano?
Yes. So the man said, don't worry. I know who you are. I know where they live. And then he took me straight there. Of course, my father at that time wasn't back from work. He had gone to pick up my mother, who then was teaching, and there was no lights.
Culture shock.
No light. So he dropped me. He said I shouldn't worry about the money, that we'll come back and collect the money. And I sat there for 2-3 hours in darkness, waiting for my parents to arrive. They drove in with their 504 Peugeot. They turned the light. They just saw me like this. They just ran out of the car. So, and I was in the north. I worked for some time in the north. I'm very familiar with the north. I worked in Kano. I worked in Zaria. I worked in Kaduna. I used to play rugby. We used to travel around together. I have a lot of amazing friends that I made in the north. When I came back to Nigeria, that period it was peaceful. There was cohesion. There wasn't a lot of all this religious
Dissonance and
and
all that.
all of that. It didn't exist. The only thing that I witnessed during that period that was anything like that was the Maitosini
Right,
riots.
that's in the riots. That was in 1980 or
Yeah,
81.
that was
Yeah.
the only thing. But you know, Igbos, Yorubas, Hausa people, we mixed together. You know, it didn't matter whether you had money or you didn't have money. We were all one. There was nobody, you know. So that was, that was good. So that is where you get that mix of
Yes.
Ijebu, where that is my origins.
Yes.
My mother is from. She always used to tease my father when he used to misbehave that, look, oh, don't talk to me anyhow. I'm from a royal family. My father is the Daguri of Idowa. So my mother was from a royal family.
But Idowa is also Ijebu now.
Yeah, Ijebu, yes. And my father too. You tell her that, look, my father was one of the richest men in Ijebu. And that's how they used to banter. And I just used to laugh. But that's my Ijebu origin.
Yes.
That's my my Oyibo UK origin.
UK
and then
origin.
to Nigeria, where I've been.
Since 1980.
Yeah, yes.
You know, you see, I was going to ask you the question, but you alluded to it, so I'll just expand it now. But what attracted you to media and TV production? You said it started from the UK,
when
the
I was in
British
the
Army.
army, yes.
Yeah.
We used to make, in those days, making career films, training films was a big thing. And I wasn't really doing that, but I was working in the department that used to do that, more like a production secretary.
Yeah, okay.
And I liked it, and I got interested in it. And when I applied to go to uni, which was Leeds University, to study film and television, it was the army that actually.
Okay, so it was like a hop, step, and jump thing
Yes,
for you.
yes. And I got into it. Then when I finished, I worked a bit in the UK, CBS Records.
Okay.
I was doing what they call new release coordination, which is a big name for a runt job. Yeah, you know. And it was during that period of doing that job I decided to come back. And you know, and that's when I started getting into TV production. I went back to Unilag, I did Masscom again. I met Jimmy Odumosu, worked on some of his projects, Fiery Force, and that was how I started getting into the industry.
Into the industry.
Yeah.
But you must have seen something that made you say, this is the line I was going to stay with.
It was, you know, some things are fortuitous in the sense that it's destiny. You know, I went through a lot of different things. I worked with, when I finished at Unilag, Jimmy Odumosu was doing a project then called Fiery Force.
Very fast, yes, I remember that.
And I ended up being the production manager on that.
Yeah.
And I've met a whole lot of people. That was where I met doing Jaisini and quite a lot of other people.
Doing is my cousin.
Yeah, and doing Jaisini played a significant role in my life. Yes, because things were not easy then. My father was a bit of the disciplinarian. The way you make your bed is the way you lie in it, and at times we just leave you to sort yourself out.
Yeah.
And after school, Doyin took me in, and I lived with him and his wife, Lucy.
Yeah, listen, yeah.
You know, and I was with Doyin for almost a year. And if you you might not remember, but the commercial that we did together,
Yeah, I remember we
the
did a
Sheraton
commercial.
Hotel,
Yes.
it was Doyin
Okay.
that took me to you.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, you see life.
That's true. That's true. That's
Circle
true.
of life, and that
Yes,
was all coming.
yes,
Doyin, you
Yeah,
know, and,
Doyin is my cousin, like I said.
Doyin
So
was at LTVH. Said,
Yes.
no, let's go to Lekonka.
yes, can do this for you.
Yes, that was, so you know, I went through that phase. I went through that phase of with Doyin thinking that we were going to start an amazing TV production company doing commercials. We did that commercial and then didn't get another commercial
For a while.
for
A
a
long
long
while.
time. So I had to go back and look for work.
For work, okay.
And that was when I now ran into doing Osasoni Adun.
Okay.
And I
Yes.
started working at DBN.
At DBN.
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
yes. That's true.
In fact, the interview for that job was myself and Sheye Kennedy.
Really?
Yes. Cheke looked dapper that day. If you see the suits that he wore, the shoes,
Yeah.
I said, lie, I cannot get this job with this guy looking like this. But we did that interview together. I think he had just come back from England or something.
England too.
Yes. And I got the job. But I remember it was me and Shea. We sat down to each other. We sat down next to each other.
Wow.
So I worked with Osa.
Yeah.
Osa was the one that really opened up my eyes.
Good.
He gave me a lot of responsibility. And he gave me a lot of opportunity. I was in charge of production. I was able to travel to around the world. Osa paid for it.
Yeah.
I'll go to NAB. I'll go to IBC.
Yeah.
I'll go to Cannes. All those places. I think he had a lot of faith in me.
Yeah.
And I was also able to challenge him in terms of, intellectually and in terms of vision and direction and everything. And I think he liked that.
Yeah.
Because he had just come back from America and he had set up DBN. He had DAS network and everything.
Yes.
And we got on really well. And also had a lot of arguments. But what was important was that it was somebody that was always able to accommodate and listen. And if you could come with a superior argument, even if it will go with you. So he gave me that opportunity.
Not a lot of employers do that.
He gave me that opportunity, and I traveled and I saw and I said, I said, this is it. This is where I want to be. I became passionate about it. I'll read everything. I'll go anything concerning media, broadcast, equipment. I wanted to be there.
You're just like a sponge.
Yes, just taking it all in.
Yeah.
And I worked with him for, I think it was about 3 years. And then the American Embassy came along and offered me an opportunity that I couldn't resist.
What was that opportunity?
They offered me a job at the United States Information Service.
Service, okay.
Yeah, as the audiovisual manager.
Oh, that's on Broad Street, USIS.
Yes, when, I think the director then was a guy called Bob Lagama.
Okay.
And the director of communication was Carol Wild. And that was where I met the late Livy Ajunoma.
Yeah, Livy Ajunoma, yes.
He worked there.
Yes.
And there was an amazing house guy, Kabir Dangogo.
Okay, yes, I know that.
You know Kabir Dangogo too, yeah.
Yes.
So, but what was amazing about it was that was where I really got introduced to technology. Because even as of that time, this would be like about 1987, 86, 87, everything was computerized. And I'd never been exposed to a computer before then.
Computers.
It was a new thing. Everybody also start shouting about, I've got a 286, I've got a 386 computer,
Yes.
I've got a 486.
Yes.
And that was where I got introduced to computers and technology and everything. And I just soaked it all in. And it was the same time too that I started talking to my cousin, Wega Adelaja, about, he was then the managing director at a television company called Nationwide
Television, yes, I remember that.
Which I think was set up with the late Mike Enauro.
Mike Enauro, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And he was also running it with a guy then called Felix Egbanumo.
Yes.
So we started talking, blah, blah, blah. We're interested, can't continue working for people all our lives. This thing, we know it, let's do it. How are we going to do it? We don't have money. We'll talk, we'll see regularly. I was still at the USIS. He was at Tafawa Balewa.
Tafawa, just next door.
So we always see, always talk.
Lunchtime talk.
Yeah, lunchtime, evening, we'll sit down, drink beer, pepper soup. What are we going to do? So after working there for some time, I was approached by an American called Lloyd Weaver.
Oh, Lloyd Weaver, he died recently.
Yes, sir, it is.
Yes.
That's another of my...
Yes.
Lloyd. Yeah. He's so resting.
Amen, amen. He was an amazing man.
I get emotional when I think about him.
Yes.
Lloyd approached me. They were setting up a company there called Swift Studios.
Swift before this, after they
After
had started
CDW,
CDW,
after
yes.
CDW, they set
Yes.
up Swift.
Yes.
There were some Nigerians that came around
That
and
came
gave them money. I don't want to mention their names.
Oh, no, no. We don't need their names.
They gave them money and they set up Swift Studios and they asked me to come and work for them as the executive producer.
Okay.
The unfortunate thing though was that during that period, Wig and I were already running around trying to see where we can get money, you know, doing proposals, you know, budgets, business plans, and all of that. And as I started that job with them,
That's with Swift.
with Swift, yes, a lot of things started coming through on the other end of
On
it.
the other end, okay.
And we approached Otumba Shubomi Balogun.
I thought you said you didn't want to mention names.
No, I must. These are the ones that are important.
This one must be mentioned.
Yes.
Okay, let me take a break now.
Okay.
We'll come back. Don't forget
Thank
where
you
you
very
are.
much.
We're taking a break now. We'll be back with you shortly. It's still Timeless Conversations, and I'm talking with my friend and brother, Remy Ogunpiton. So you were going to mention names of, or the name of someone who stood by you in that quest.
We approached, when we decided we wanted to set up a production company, we approached Shubomi Balogun, or Tumba Shubomi Balogun, who then, FCMB. But then he had a finance and security firm called City Securities.
Yeah, City Securities, yeah, that's true.
And he believed in the dream, and he gave us money, a lot of money, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of pounds then in 1989.
It was a lot of money.
Yeah, and we took the money, and I think we did well. We set up a company called Solar Productions.
Solar Productions,
It was in Lupeju.
yes. Town planning way.
Yeah, we had people like Olumide Ofere, Mike Afigo, Unwoso, plenty of the big company.
I know all of those guys.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know them now.
Yes, now.
Moses Ebere.
Yes,
all
now.
of them. They were all, and we had an amazing business, and we quickly established ourselves in the marketplace and did a lot of work and started to make money. But things fell apart.
How?
You know, it's simple, and I think everybody can relate to it. You know, if a business partnership is a marriage,
Yes.
and this was not even a ordinary business marriage. This was a business marriage of family.
Yeah.
You know, everybody on the board was family.
Yeah.
In fact, City Securities Limited then was represented by Bolaji Balogun. My father was on the board. Wiga's father was on the board. But you know, the directors, they're not involved in the day-to-day running.
It's still running, sure.
You see, when two people who are meant to act as one have a different vision, the center can never hold.
You can't.
Whether it's in a business, whether it's in a home, whether it's any public institution, whether it's the president and the vice president.
Sure.
Once the vision diverts, it can't hold. And that's basically what happened.
What happened?
And apart from differences also, because division comes because of differences
Yes.
in approach, differences in ability, differences in skill, differences in the ability to manage funds,
Even in style.
in
or
style,
execution.
everything, yeah. And even differences in terms of who the clients prefer to work with. Maybe they prefer working with this person to this person, and all those things become convoluted. Jealousies come in, all kinds of things come in, and it becomes difficult for the center to hold. So after 5 years, I left. And for quite a period of time, almost like a year, I didn't know what to do. I knew that, I'm going to do work in production. I knew that.
Yeah.
And then I was again, God continues to send people along. And then I was again rescued by two gentlemen called, who then were running an advertising agency called concert unit, Larry Awukoya
Yeah, okay, yeah.
and Kayode Idowu,
Yes.
who basically came to me and said, well, look, we've been working with you for a long time. We like the way you work. Da. We've noticed that you're no longer with Bega. What do you want to do? And I said, I want to set up a production company. And they said, fine. They're interested. And they put some money up, a substantial amount of money. And I looked at the whole thing. And of course, you tell your family, look, this is what I want to do now. I want to put money up, want to start a new business. And I remember my father said, no way. That you're not going to take their money without any of your own money in there. How much do you have? I told him, he said, no. He said, we're going to match them penny for penny. So that this time around, we have a hold. And that's what we did. So I was able to use some money I had. My father gave me a substantial amount of money and added it to what they put in. And we started Schaff-Weisberg Media, Studio 77.
I remember that. I just wanted to hit you a little bit. Your disciplinarian father
Yes,
supported you.
yes, he did.
I'm underlining it because we'll come back to it.
Yes, he supported me.
Yes.
And that was how we started Schaff-Weisberg Media,
Yes.
which I ran for 9 years. And later on, sold my shares to, because by that time, the company had become part of a bigger group called Integrated Marketing Services.
Yeah, I remember that.
Which was, it was used. So by the time I decided I wanted to go on my own 100%, when I sold my shares, it was a juicy bit of money.
Very good.
And with some other businesses that I had done at that time, like the All Africa Games and everything, I started IBST till today.
What does IBST mean?
Integrated Broadcast Services and Technologies.
And technologies, okay.
Yeah.
All right. So congratulations on that roller coaster of a movement. Now, because that's the space you operate in, the production sector of the Nigerian media space appears to be growing, interestingly, at both a fast and slow pace. Fast because technology is moving fast, but slow because of peculiar Nigerian challenges. What do you think can bring us to par with other clients? And by other clients, I mean even other African countries, like South Africa, for instance. What do you think can bring us to par with that?
That's an interesting question because our sector is made up of various and very, 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 very diverse ingredients that make it a whole. If you look at our film sector, everybody would think that it's growing, that we're seeing a lot more of our movies on Netflix.
Yeah.
There's a whole lot more commissioning going on and things like that, which makes sense.
Yeah.
Because that's the perception.
Yes.
In our TV industry, broadcast, terrestrial, cable, OTT, and online, things are not moving so rapidly in terms of revenue.
Yes.
There are revenue challenges there. There are challenges in technology. And if you look at where we are and how broadcasting is done today, a lot of it is still it's all IP based.
Yes.
So we're dealing with issues of technology. We're dealing with issues of how do we improve our quality. And to improve your quality, you need to access revenues. And for revenues to come, you need to have quality. So that one is like, which one, chicken or egg? And then we have what I've talked about before, the movies, which everybody is talking about. The government, Nigeria, and all of that. The fastest moving sector in Nigeria is all of that. And as I said, it's just a perception.
But they say perception is everything.
Yeah, it's just a perception, because what you have to ask yourself is that what is it doing to the country as a whole, economically, socially, and all of those things? Is it really having an impact? And for me, I think that we're not really making that impact yet. The challenges are multifarious, but I think a lot of it has to do with the enabling environment, which is one. It has to do with access and education. And then it has also to do with the people who actually are in control of the industry.
Okay.
If we look at a lot of the people that are in control of the industry and have made investments in the industry,
Yeah.
the question is, who are they? Where do they come from? You know, what is their stake?
What's their long-term goal?
So all these things, when you add them all together, the position that I have taken is that you can't, if you try to change everything, you can't change it.
Yeah.
One person can't do it.
No way.
So I just figured that the only way to really address this is decide where you want to play. Decide, do I want to play here? Do I want to play here? Or do I want to play defense? Do I want to play midfield? Do I want to play attack, left or right? Decide where you're going to play, and then carve out a role for yourself and try to become the best at it. And through that way, also influence people that come into contact with you. Try to create revenues and opportunities in the areas where you can influence. Because, Nico, I'll be honest with you, I get confused a lot about Nigeria and the direction, especially even in our own industry.
Yes.
Because, you know, we can't isolate ourselves from everything that's going on around us. So that worries me. So that question is something that is an ongoing discussion in my mind.
Yes.
And at times, the answers and the solutions change from day to day as the environment and as the equation changes, as it always does.
Yes. It must.
Yeah,
It has
as
to
it always
remain
does.
dynamic.
Yeah, so, you know, you've got to, if you're a computer geek, you'll understand what DHCP means when you're trying to network. DHCP means that it's on a dynamic frequency. So if it goes up, you go up with it. If it comes down, you come down with it.
But then you must remain consistent.
Yeah, but as long as there's a throughput, as long as there's data coming through, if it is good, it will be fast. If it is slow, you'll still be able to access, but it will be.
But then you see, the consistency I even mean is, I know this is not to patronize you. I know that your love for technology and innovation has been always at the forefront and the background of your engagements. So in your company, in your productions, we see a lot of that.
Yes.
And that love, for me, is the consistency.
Yeah, okay.
That can drive the engagement. So for you...
Yeah, you know what? You know, like, really, you know what? The way I thought about it really is that, you know, for me, the focus has always been on value. We work in a very, very competitive environment because I work in the private, all my clients are in the private sector. And a lot of those clients are driven by institutional values in terms of quality, excellence, what they want for themselves, how they want their brands to be perceived and all of those things. So a lot of things that one does is focused on value. So the equipment, the personnel, the manner you run your business, the style and all of those things are just a means to an end.
Yeah.
So technology is just one of the legs of ensuring that you deliver value. But whatever is required to deliver value is something that I always try to ensure is contained in our offering, in our product offering, because a lot of people say Nigerian business, man no man. Yeah, fine. But when man no day go, when the man has gone,
Yes.
what are you going to do? So the only thing that is sustainable is value.
Is value.
So that's just the way I look at it.
Thank you, Remy. We'll take another break and resume our conversation.
Wow.
Please stay tuned. All right, welcome back to our program. Remy Ogupito is still my guest, and we just during the break we were saying he'd never been interviewed like this before, and I said, well, it's, like they say, it's the person who knows you that knows what to ask you now, and don't be too humble. I know who you are, don't I? I do now. I do. Now, value is the soul and the heart of the business that you run. If you deliver good value, then your clients will come back. If the value is bad, they take a hike. Now, you don't want them to take a hike. However, in rating the media industry in the country, what would you like to place your finger on as what can improve our industry?
People.
In what sense?
People. We've got to train people. We've got to invest in people. We've got to expose our people. We've got to support our people. We've got to grow them, talent, in knowledge, in their networking skills and everything. You know, we talk about technology all the time. Technology is technology. Garbage in, garbage out. So give anybody, people talk about DOPs and cameramen. They talk about all these kinds of people. But if you give, I always, this analogy is that give a 60,000 pound camera to a cameraman that's not trained, and give a $5,000 cameraman to a DOP who has been trained and has experience and has exposure, and tell them to go and shoot the same thing. The guy with the $5,000 camera who is trained and has exposure will shoot you something better than the guy that had the 60.
Very true.
Yeah?
Very true.
Yeah. So it's all about people. I think that we don't invest enough in our people. I think business owners take people for granted. And I get it all the time. They say, look, if we train people, they will just go, they will come, they will land, I think that's all bunkum and rubbish. You know, in life, when you invest in other people, it will come back to you.
It does.
Whether they leave you,
they've got to leave.
Doesn't matter. But what you are doing is that you are feeding an industry with people who are talented, who have knowledge, and they're coming from you.
And they will impact others.
They will impact others. And that impact they have on others will come back and impact you.
Sure.
So that is a very critical area. I think in terms of technology and all of those things, all that is money.
Okay.
If you have the money, you can buy it. But I think it's people. People.
Yes, you asked me what areas I wanted to cover, and I said, don't worry, I'll ask you any question. You reserve the right to answer or refuse. Now, you said your dad was a politician.
Yes.
Are you a politician?
No way.
Why?
No, I'm not going to answer that question. Kai, politics, no.
Okay.
Along my J. Yes.
Now, how do we solve the problem of low voter turnout in our country?
I vote.
You vote?
I vote.
You do?
Yeah, but just I will not be a politician.
Okay, very good. So then let's expand the question so that you can answer it. Let's look at it this way. How can we get more Nigerians involved in politics, especially the younger one? And by involvement, I mean them voting, I mean them participating in the process of canvassing for votes, of changing the society?
That's, sounds like a complex question, but it's actually very, very simple. Until we show that our people have a stake in government, in the decisions that are made by government, that those things are done in their own interest, you will always continue to have low public turnout during voting, because there is no trust and there's no belief and there's no validity in the minds of Nigerians about the system being operated in their interest.
How do we show that?
By ensuring that the things that matter will start to change it, by showing that there's actually, truly, there's justice in the system. By showing that everybody is accountable to the law, and nobody is above the law. By showing that it's only the best people that will run this country. Merit.
Yes.
By ensuring that if you are running government, you are accountable. Those are the things. Okay. They're very, very simple, actually. By showing that that government cares about the education of the child of somebody who is poor, the hospitals that they go to. As it is now, the majority of Nigerians don't believe they have a stake in the country. The people that are fighting for a stake in the country are the politicians and the people that identify with them. And of course, the elite ruling class who have invested money and are working to try to keep their businesses going, their manufacturing plants, their banks, their retail shops, their restaurants.
Yeah.
They're the people that have that seem to have a stake, because things that happen around them impact them. But the average Nigerian believes that no matter what impacts them, they can't change it.
They can't change it.
So that's why they don't bother to vote.
How do we achieve that change?
Lincoln, it's a very interesting question, but I used to be very idealistic about all these things, and I used to be very vocal. And I came to the conclusion that we're in a big ocean of, can I say, rishi. And that I, as Remi Ogunpiton, the only way I can impact and do anything is within my sphere of influence, within the people that I relate with, that I do business with.
Spot on.
We talked about people before and training and everything. Do you know, Lincoln, I have staff over the years. I have staff that have worked with me. I've had a driver that worked with me for 23 years. From the time I was at Solar.
Yeah.
And he's retired now.
Yeah.
I have people that worked with me for 7 years, 8 years, 10 years. I have 3 of my staff. I know that, because that was the way I was exposed and I was gifted. So when I have money, I send them, go to America, go to NAB, go to Dubai, go to CAPSAT, go to this, go and attend this course, go and do this. Some of them have gone, some of them have left.
Yeah.
Many of them, one of them that has left was a young man that I found in Computer Village. He worked with me for many years. And I originally brought him to come and do cabling for me, cabling. But after 7 years, he left, set up his own production company, and he's doing amazingly well.
Fantastic.
So we have the ability to influence people around us. We have the ability to uplift people around us. And I believe that You know, when we do that, the more people we uplift, the more people we expose, the more people we teach, the more people we mentor.
Yeah.
When they look at us, they will see that these are the principles, these are the values that have made this man what he is. And hopefully they will emulate us, imbibe some of those values, and also teach other people.
Teach other people.
So hopefully to be like a ripple.
Okay.
But we need a lot of people doing that. A lot of people doing that. A lot of people able to stand up, for instance, and say that there are certain things they won't accept.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And
principle.
and for you to get to that level in this country where you are saying that there are certain things you don't accept and you be principled, you know, the tendency is that you must have either been through a lot and you are not comfortable to be able to say, I'm not going to take it. Because you can't ask a man to be principled and not steal and not take an orange you put on the table there who has not eaten for 1 week.
Well, he could be. It could be.
It could be.
Yeah.
He could resist it. He could say,
Yeah.
I want it. Could I? But the tendency is that most Nigerians, they don't have. They are in need. They're in want. So they take shortcuts. Because at the top, you don't get dealt with if you take a shortcut. So who am I not to take a shortcut?
So we need to strengthen our institutions, right? Institutions like the police, like judiciary, where we have
now.
to. Yes.
We know now. We say this all the time. Now.
Yes.
We all know it, but
But then we have to keep saying it so that it can be relevant. We have to. Change does not come when we keep quiet.
People in leadership don't know that.
Well, some of us will get into leadership too and not change from what we used to be.
Well,
That's the truth.
Well, you know, the thing is that individual change can change yourself, can change you, can change your life. But what we're talking about is a change for a country of over 200 million people.
Yes.
And that's something that when I think about it, I won't lie to you, it baffles me how you do it all. Because I ask myself, how do you galvanize into a cohesive force of the same power, the same thought, the same vision, the same drive? 200 million people or so of different interests, of different backgrounds.
It's leadership.
Different.
It's leadership.
Well,
Yeah, even from your own analogy, it's leadership.
Yeah.
It's if they start in their own spheres,
yes.
right? Then others will emulate. They will produce people and all that. And some of those people will get into that position of leadership.
I think,
Yes.
I think at times when we look at leadership as being from the top down, at times leadership can be from bottom up.
It actually should be from bottom up, so that when you find yourself at the very top, you already are known for something.
Yeah.
That's it. You're known for something.
But it can be very disquieting.
Yeah, well, it can be. We're going to take another break now. Don't worry, it won't be too long. We'll be back shortly. Thank you. Welcome back to the program where we're talking to none other than Remy Ogunpitan. Now, Remy, in the last 3 or 4 decades, almost about 4 decades now, almost 4 decades, you've been doing business in Nigeria, you've worked in this same industry, you've led or headed, and then you have founded, right, companies that deal with production. What's that experience been like for you?
If I died and I had the choice of coming back again, I don't think I would have changed. I don't think I'll change my.
You will come back and do the same thing.
Again, I'll do the same thing.
Okay, fine. So let's start being specific about your experience. For instance, traveling around the country as a result of working. What was that like?
Okay, let me tell you, when it's been interesting. When I came back to Nigeria,
Yes.
the 1980, I was in Kano. What I did was I bought myself a Volkswagen bus, a Kombi bus.
A boss.
Yes.
So we have that in common.
Yeah, and I equipped it with a bed, a kerosene fridge, a kerosene cooker,
Are you kidding?
and I spent 1 year traveling around Nigeria.
You did that?
Yes, I did, yes. My first 1 year back in the country. There was nowhere I didn't go to. I traveled there was nowhere I didn't go to. And in some places, I would spend a week or 2 weeks. I remember I spent 2 weeks in Boko.
Really?
Yeah, because I had met this girl and I thought I was in love with her, but I had to move. But there was nowhere I didn't go to. From Sokoto
So
to
you left the love back in
Yeah,
Boko.
I moved, from Sokoto to Potiskum to Nguru to Biu to Daura, Dambata, Adeja,
Just driving.
Yola, Guzo, Mubi. Yes.
All
Right
of that.
down to Miduyo, Kafancha, Funtwa, Adeja, Guzo, Kafancha, Kontagora,
All by yourself.
Shendam, Jos. Yeah. And I did that for about 11 years, almost a year. And it was amazing.
And your parents left you to do that?
Yes, now. There was no,
Yeah, well, you were a
Nige-
full-grown
and, apart,
adult.
and apart from that, Nigeria wasn't stressed now. Yeah, there was still armed robbery, but it was not like the way it was now. You could move. You could drive at night.
Yeah, that's true.
You could drive at night.
And police were friendlier.
Yes. You could get somewhere, park and sleep and wake up in the morning, and the villagers will come out and say, "Well, okay, look, yeah, you want food?" Nigeria was like that. Now, it's not so much like that.
Yeah.
We travel a lot now. Our production crews today in Nigeria, when we travel to locations outside of, let's just say, Ibadan, Abeokuta, but the minute we're going to Ilorin, Akure, Benin, all those places we normally go by road. We go with police escort.
No.
Yes, we do.
But you didn't need that in
No,
1994.
no, it didn't. Even when we were doing productions where we were traveling on the road with things like Benson and Edge's Golden Tones, the road shows, when we were doing Rothman's Groove, the road shows and things like that, Peak Talent Show, Blue Soccer Academy, all of those things. We used to travel by road. We didn't used to go with police now. But now you do.
You do.
Some of the clients will not even allow you to travel without them. I mean, we work for flour mills, we work for a lot of the oil companies. You can't go anywhere without security.
Without police.
Yeah, you can't.
These days.
Yeah, you can't. It's impossible.
Yeah. What's that like for you? Someone who's traveled all by himself.
Yeah.
And now needing police escort to do that.
It's just part of the mix now. These things, they become normalized. So you don't see, what happens is that over a period of time, things that you're not used to, you now have to start putting them in place. And after a while, they become normalized. So you don't even see it as being unusual. You see it as being just part of.
Just part of
Yeah. Like our international clients that we work with.
Yes.
I'm not going to mention their names, but there's not one of them that comes into this country without security devices, which maps and tracks their every single movement right up to where they are with an accuracy of 25 meters. They carry it. It's not a phone, it's not anything, but a lot of people don't know it, but it will be on them. So that if anything happens, they can be tracked. So that is there. In terms of work, liaison with Nigerians and getting things done, it's a bit more challenging because Nigerians are wiser. They know that a lot of these things that people do, you want to use a place, you want to use somebody's shop, you want to shoot in a location, they understand that what we're doing, we're being paid for it and we make money from it. They're smart. Social media, live TV, cable TV has made everybody understand.
Made them aware.
Yeah. So they will cooperate with you, but these days you need to drop something. We're shooting something in the market on the 3rd of February. We have to pay 250,000 naira to enter the market.
I was going to ask that
Yeah.
how do you acquire your sites and locations?
Yeah,
What's been like?
we pay.
And then even shooting within communities.
Yeah, communities are easier because the shooting within communities, what you tend to do is that you identify who the key leaders are within that community, whether it's a traditional oba or a chief or whatever. Identify them, tell them what you want to do. At times, some of the things we want to do is actually to their advantage.
Yes.
And when it is, they'll
might even end up being the ones entertaining you.
They'll cooperate, and we're Africans, and we're Nigerians, and we have a culture, which is not this is not a corruption culture.
No.
But this is a culture of you show respect.
Yes.
I accommodate you. I thank you.
Yes.
So
the experience has been a mixed one.
Yeah, it's mixed, but nothing nasty, nothing horrible.
Okay.
Something
in the last 3-4
No, you can always
get over that.
Yeah, walk over it. Yeah, we've never had anything nasty like that.
So finally, let me ask you: you did some tourism content, some of which you even graciously passed to us and we're using. What inspired that? Was it that your...
Yes, it was.
1980,
yeah.
1881?
Yeah, it was. And the fact is this, is that, you know what?
Road trip. You did a road trip.
Yeah, road trip, yes. Yeah.
And that's what opened your mind up to, I need to
And it still keeps on, and my mind still keeps on getting opened up every day. We've had the opportunity of traveling around Nigeria. To so many places, and at times some very obscure places. And the more that you travel, the more you see, number one, how beautiful we are as a people. The average Nigerian that you see in Lagos that is hustling is not your typical Nigerian. When you go to some of these obscure, remote areas, and you see the land, you see the topography, you see the potential of the opportunity that there is, you start to say to yourself that I need to do something about this. And that was what inspired us, basically starting to put that kind of content together, because we just felt that, well, look, it's our country. Yeah, there's a lot that is wrong with it, but we still have 1 or 2 things that we're proud about. And at least if we can't get there, let's show people the beauty of Nigeria. When I traveled around Nigeria around 1980, in Jos, in places in Jos like Shendam and all of those things, then I used to go into, they have a lot of tin mines there, which were then being run by expatriates.
Yes.
And most of the tin mines then had orchards, they had gardens. I used to go into those orchards and I used to pick fresh strawberries, blackcurrant, pomegranate, apple, peaches. But now, you can't do that. But the thing is that we are able to do those things if we put our mind to it.
But they're in, was that in Jos now? They're in Plateau?
Yeah,
they
Plateau.
have started cultivating strawberries on a large commercial scale.
But then it wasn't a big deal. It was everywhere. You just pick strawberries, you pick blackberries, you pick black currant, anything that you want, you just pick it.
Yeah.
Those days you go onto the farm, you give them like, I don't know how much you give them like about 20 naira. And then you can just take.
That's a lot of money. Maybe like 2 naira.
I don't know. Maybe about 2 naira, or maybe 1 naira or 50 kobo.
Yes,
you just go and you pick everything that you want to pick, and you go.
When you go.
Yeah.
So now, that's like your own way of giving back to society?
No.
The tourism content?
No, it's not. I think you get to a stage, you need to give back.
Yeah.
So what I try to do now is I try to give my services free of charge to churches, for instance, who want to do media training, to universities.
Okay.
We're doing something now with NIJ, Nigerian Institute of Journalism, where every Saturday they come across to our facilities and we give our time and our equipment to train their students in the area of broadcasting and production. There are other things that one is doing, but what I found is that the only way I can give back, and I feel very, very satisfied about it, is to try and improve what is going on in our industry, because there's so much, there's still so much to do.
I want you to give back
Okay,
to us. Let's work together
okay,
on a documentary.
okay,
You know, on the bridge, when you are coming towards the island,
yeah,
you know, Okobaba,
Makoko.
the timber.
Yes, yes, yes.
I'd like us to do
You know the funny
a
thing?
documentary on that, because you know there's a period that they will bring so much of the timber
We discussed this.
and it will be all over
We
the
discussed
place.
this in a meeting
Yeah.
about 2 weeks ago in our office.
And we'll go all the way
To Ondo,
Ondo, Kitipupa,
where they now build the raft
exactly,
and then ship it down.
and if possible, follow the raft.
Who's going to follow them? Me and you.
No, follow. We don't have to be the ones. We'll be
You
the
know,
ones
we have big belly now, so
yes,
we can't.
and we have underlying. We have underlying issues. Even the children will say, "Hey, Daddy, where are you going?" but let's do that together.
No, I would love to do that, because you know that would be that would be an amazing.
It's a good way,
film.
and it will be something we'll put in the public
Yeah,
space,
an amazing film.
right? To tell the story of the timber industry.
Okay. I'll take your offer up on that. And
Yes,
we'll do it as a joint production.
Yes, let's do it together.
Okay.
Let's merge forces.
Yeah.
Right, write scripts and all that. I can voice
We can
it
put all
if
those
you
young
want.
boys to. You can go
to
get
do the
this
shoots.
our young guy on the camera.
Yes,
Yeah.
to shoot and
Yes,
all that.
you live on the raft for 2 weeks, because that's how long it takes for them to
It takes
close it
2
down.
weeks. Yes, I know.
You'll be eating on the raft, sleeping on the raft.
Yes, I
Just
know.
take plenty of mosquito repellent. It'll
Yes,
be good.
that's it. It will be good. It will be an experience for them. And worst case scenario, we can train somebody on the raft that can position the camera and all that.
No, they have to go with them.
Exactly
they have to go
now.
with
So
them.
that's it. Anyway, it's been nice talking to Remy. Remy, well, we know each other. We know how far we've been together. And I'm just so amazed at your accomplishment. I'm not any way flattering you. You know that. We don't flatter. But just commending your great work. And thank you so much for coming.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you so
And
much.
we thank God too.
Yes. So today we have another episode of Timeless Conversations. It's been Remy Ogunpitan as my guest today. Thank you all for watching.
Good afternoon. This is the news brief. I am Messi Bopo. Governor Yahaya Bello of Kogi State has vowed to bring the perpetrators behind the attacks on communities in Dikina local government area of the state to justice. The governor gave the assurance when he led heads of security agencies in the state for an on-spot assessment of the community. The governor was represented by his deputy Edward Onoja, who described the attack as barbaric, though not very frequent in Kogi State.
Though not very frequent in Kogi State, and His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Kogi State, like you all know, frowns seriously at it and has promised that the perpetrators will be brought to book, as always. 2018, we only passed through this place to a boundary community in Bassa local government. It wasn't as if something happened here in 2018. It happened in a boundary community but you have to pass through here to get there. And His Excellency came down here by himself. And for 4 years or 5 years, from 2018 to now, it's 5 years, there has not been any of such incidents. And this does just happen. And as we speak, the military are fully on ground. From the very day that the incident happened, they even forestalled more casualty and more deaths. They've been on ground since then, and they will remain on ground. And just like the Commissioner of Police confirmed to you, more deployments by the mobile police and anti-terrorist squad would also be on ground.
He assured that the SEMA team had taken stock to ensure quick intervention in form of palliative to cushion the effect of the pains for the community.
Well, it's unfortunate with in the convoy of the inspection of what the damage has been done at Ogunago, the deputy governor was there. We have seen the extent of damage, but it's to find out what brought about this animosity that translated into damage of human lives and property. So the bottom line will be that to go into investigation and find out the critical issues involved in this matter and what remedies can be done. I think the governor is very much unhappy about the incident, and he has directed that we'll come down to the ground and do the investigation and find out whatever the cause is and get back to him. I think you can see the presence of the deputy governor himself and the senior security advisor to the governor. So,
the governor is concerned about anything that has to do with the security, safety, and well-being of his people. And that's why he sent his number 2, the deputy governor of the state, to visit the affected areas. What I saw in the eyes of the people today at that place is confidence. As we are entering that troubled, one of the troubled communities, we saw people tying their mattresses at the back of their motorcycle. But when they saw that the deputy governor was in town, they returned their mattresses home. That's what you do. That's what you get when you show concern and you identify with your people, and that's what exactly what the governor has done. We hopefully, with the engagement at those communities and also meeting with the stakeholders.
The Kaduna State Governor has confirmed that only 8 students were abducted along with other citizens. It, however, said that they were not kidnapped in the school environment as reported across the board. On Monday, gunmen whisked away 10 victims from Government Day Secondary School in Awan Kauchia local government area of Kaduna State. The abduction is the latest onslaught launched by gunmen that have wreaked havoc in northwestern part of the country, despite efforts of the state government and security agencies. But the state government, in its update, said it received detailed report from security agencies on the incident, explaining the students were not kidnapped within the school premise. Commissioner for Internal Security and Home Affairs, Samuel Arowan, said the students were on their way home from school when they met the bandits who abducted them and other residents. The Oni of Ife, Oba Adeyeye Ogunwusi, says traditional rulers need to be assigned constitutional roles in security and governance architecture of the country. If it wants to tackle emerging and contemporary security challenges, the Oni spoke at the 2023 exercise lecture series organized by the Armed Forces Command and Staff College in Kaduna State. He stressed that the failure of the security agencies and government to assign specific constitutional roles to traditional rulers were largely responsible for the lingering insecurity in the country.
The role of traditional institutions is so relevant. It's about time we actually implement and involve traditional institutions for us to settle the menace of security challenges in our country. The current president, President Muhammadu Buhari, is very, very in tune with traditional institutions and also doing his best to work with the traditional institution. But to us, the best is not good enough. The best should actually be very visible. The best should be to entrench traditional institutions in the system, in the governance of this country, also to put traditional institutions in our constitution.
President Muhammadu Buhari has named the newly commissioned National Counter-Terrorism Center after Jordan King Abdullahi Ben Al-Hassan, the senior special assistant to the President Garba Shehu, announced this in a statement explaining that the Nigerian leader also had a phone conversation with Al-Hassan. Both leaders expressed satisfaction at the deepening of the Nigerian-Jordan strategic partnership in matters of security and other global issues. Buhari collaborated and shared Nigeria's experience with Jordan in tackling terrorism and its spread across West Africa. In Benue State, the Police Community Relations Committee, PCRC, is seeking support of journalists in order to achieve effective policing and fight against crime. This was contained in a statement delivered by the PCRC on the courtesy call to Nigerian Union of Journalists, the Benue State chapter. Plus TV News correspondent files in this report has been presented by in the studio.
Chairman of the Police Community Relations Committee, who represented the national chairman, said the concept cannot be complete without the journalists, who serve as a link between the police and the citizens.
So, because of that, Melga said, no, we must bring press into this system now. In Zone 4, we must partner with the press and in the promotion of the image of police and PCRC in the zone. And the national chairman have directed me that as soon as I'm in touch with the LUJ chairman, it should be enlisted immediately into the system as Zone 4. The same as replicated in Plateau and the same in the Northern States.
Representative of the Inspector General of Police, Ines Goodwin Message, appreciated the journalists for their support thus far and asked for more to enable the police to succeed in fighting crime in the society.
And for us, for the public, to know what the police are doing, we need the press, we need the journalists. That is what we have come here today to ensure that we partner with Nigerian Union of Journalists in this chapter and to enlighten, to help spread the good news of the police to the journalists, so that you help represent the police in good light and members of the public. And that is why we have the PCRC chairman here, who has come to solicit for your membership and the membership of your entire SQ to be part of the Public Police Community Relations Committee.
In a speech, the NUJ chairman thanked the Inspector General and the PCRC for the visit, promising that his members will continue to do what is best for the society.
I also want to assure you that we are part of the society. We understand the society. We feel the pulse of the members of the public. Not just about you, about any other thing that's happening in society. So we'll know, just like we'll be trying to publicize about you to the public, we equally bring to you what are the impressions of the public about you and where you need to make adjustments for necessary changes so that you can be better suited to the society, and that will also help you to police the society better than you do right now.
The PCRC, however, said it has established a journalist unit for practicing journalists across the country. It is a platform established to garner support from citizens other than the police and policing the society.
The Plateau State Police Command has arrested a patrol officer involved in an operation that led to the killing of a petty trader in the terminal area of Jos, the state capital. A 17-year-old innocent Ibuchim was hit by a stray bullet while sitting inside the bus shop.
The Commissioner of Police spoke with the families of the deceased yesterday and assured them that before today runs out, they are going to get credible information as at who did that dastardly act yesterday. And the officers have come through with information that has helped us to narrow down to the particular officer that actually pulled that trigger that hit the young man.
The Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, has warned Peter Obi, presidential candidate of the Labour Party, against inciting violence over the outcome of the presidential election. Mahmoud spoke in Washington, D.C. during his official engagement with some international media organizations on the just concluded 2023 polls. The minister accused Obi of inciting people to violence while seeking redress in court over the outcome of the election. In a recent interview, Dati Baba Ahmed, vice presidential candidate of the Labour Party, said Bola Tinubu did not meet the constitutional requirement to become Nigeria's president. Meanwhile, the presidential candidate of Labour Party, Peter Obi, has condemned the Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed's allegation and incitement on Nigeria's democratic institution, saying Mohammed had faulted Obi's post-election tactics of seeking redress in court on the one hand and inciting people to violence on the other hand. Reacting to the allegation, Obi took to his Twitter page and described Lai Mohammed's comment on his personality as corny campaign. He also said that the Labour Party candidate has never encouraged anyone to undermine Nigeria's state and its democratic institutions. The Labour Party youth across the country has warned those calling for the arrest of the presidential candidate, Peter Obi, to stop forthwith. The national youth leader, Kennedy Aoton, wondered why those who were declared winner in a poll, rather than celebrating, should be calling for the arrest of those that snatched their mandate. Meanwhile, the party's House of Assembly candidates in the just concluded elections in Imo State say that the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, is frustrating their efforts in reclaiming the stolen mandate in court. They say INEC has refused to provide them with a certified true copy of electoral materials to enable them file their case in court within the stipulated time.
Of us have submitted our letters in Abuja for certified true copy of the back-end result of the BVAS, because we know that BVAS and the IREV are integral part of this election. Most of us went for review. They said they have 7 days review in Abuja. Went and submitted the application. We learned that the review committee finished their report, submitted it, but it was not signed, and they told us that we can approach the court. So what we are saying is that some of us, our results are clear on the IREV. Like my result, I want clear on the IREV, and we believe that all those people that want clear on the IREV, the judiciary should look into it and make sure that they are returned.
The monstrous activities and complicity of the Imo State Rec, we are calling for her immediate sack, investigation and prosecution, because she showed glaring signs of corruption, incompetence, total disregard to the ordinances of the Electoral Guidelines and the Electoral Act. It is no longer news that the Imo Rec, for the period of the 2 elections, was seen holding meetings with the agents of APC, from where she took instructions to carry out her hatchet jobs against Imo people, and only visited her office at Port Harcourt Road with heavy security personnel provided by the APC government in Imo State.
It's amazing to see the APC state managing all manner of business propaganda to misrepresent our collective sense of equity and justice. By this press briefing, we, the Nigerian youth, demand that 1, the various call for the arrest of Mr. Peter Obi and Dati Baba Ahmed should stop forthwith, as we, the obedient Nigerian youth, have cast our final hope on the judiciary.
Members of the House of Representatives are now divided over the call for an interim government by some quarters, as Nigerians, as reported by the Department of State Services, DSS, last week. The motion was sponsored by Honorable Idem Unyime at plenary. Details in this report.
Coming on the matters of urgent public national importance, the lawmaker urged the House to condemn the call by some Nigerians for the composition of an interim government to those detention arising from the outcome of the just concluded presidential election.
The people that are making this call, I see them as the enemies of this country. These people don't have the interest of this country, and I believe their hearts is unpatriotic.
However, members of the opposition demanded that the Department of State Security, which released a report, should name and make arrest instead of grandstanding.
This government is lied to its responsibility. It is alive to its responsibility. This should not even be an issue that will be dissipating energy on in this house. People are dying every day in this country. Killed by bandits, killed by hunger. Go to hospitals, they cannot be attended to. Children cannot even afford to go to school. We are debating what is not in this house. Do we even have a government in this country? If the government cannot perform between now and May 28, they should resign and go.
This National Assembly and zero down to House of Rep is the temple of democracy. Can the temple of democracy discuss what is not passed? Can the temple of democracy discuss issues that are not available? The question is, this garment of everything, this motion, is centered on what speculation?
For members of the ruling party, the call is the right one if the 2-decade-old democracy in the country must be sustained.
Nigerians have the characteristics when they lose out. They want things to be taken back to the melting pot so that everybody will put his spoon and try his luck. This will not happen. Every lover of this country, every participant in this democratic process must fight this, because it will take us 2.5 decades back.
You want to wait until that happened? The DSS came up, they said they are suspecting people. If they have not measured, you cannot ask them to measure that because they are technical. They are technocrats, they know what they are doing. They don't know the time to come up and say this is the situation. You cannot teach them what to do. They have been trained and retrained, and that is their job.
Nigeria is bigger than individuals. You must have a country for you to rule. And if you are saying these kind of things, and you do not know who is interpreting it the way they are interpreting it, and then you do not want DSS to do their work, and of course their work is to collect intelligence for good governance and for national safety and security.
The motion was adopted by a majority voice vote when put to vote by the presiding Deputy Speaker, Idris Wase.
And to other parts of Africa, thousands of Senegalese have taken to the street to celebrate the country's Independence Day in a show of patriotism, just a week after political tension led to violent clashes between security forces and opposition supporters. People lined the streets of the capital, Dakar, to watch the first military parade to be held in the city in 4 years following a break caused by COVID-19 pandemic. Senegal, which gained independence from France in 1960, is widely viewed as one of the most stable democracies in West Africa, but concerns that President Macky Sall may try to run for a third term has fueled protests over the last few years. And outside Africa, former U.S. President Donald Trump has demanded that his court case should be moved from New York to Staten Island, accusing the case judge of bias against him. Trump, who is the first runner for the 2024 Republican nomination, has formally been charged in a watershed moment ahead of the 2024 presidential election, as his supporters and detractors noisily rallied outside Manhattan Courthouse, where he will appear. He is the first former president to face criminal charges. He was indicted by Manhattan grand jury last week in a case stemming from a 2016 hush money payment to a porn star, Stormy Daniels, though the specific charges have yet to be disclosed.
75 million votes, which is more than any sitting president in the history of our country. And in the wings, they've got a local racist Democrat district attorney in Atlanta who is doing everything in her power to indict me over an absolutely perfect phone call, even more perfect than the one I made with the president of Ukraine. Remember, I kid? Everybody's done. In fact, Hillary Clinton got rid of 33,000 emails, and that was okay. But nobody's done it like Joe Biden. This lunatic special prosecutor named Jack Smith, I wonder what it was prior to a change, who others of his ilk say he is even worse than they are, is only looking at Trump, yet Joe Biden took massive amounts.
And in business news, the federal government has said operators in the maritime sector may get about $700 million to acquire new vessels during the maiden annual lecture of the Institute of Maritime Studies at the University of Lagos, Akoka. The Director General of the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency said at least $700 million has been earmarked for the cabotage vessel financing fund. The director also added that the government was looking to each ship owning or owners getting at least $25 million from the fund. And in sports news, entertainment news, Forbes Africa has unveiled its annual roster of under 30 and X-Team collection that lauds the accomplishment of exceptional young entrepreneurs, investors, and leaders under the age of 30. The list, titled The Newest Self-Made Young Investors and Leaders, Scripting a New Vision for Africa, showcased 30 dynamics and versatile individuals who are spearheading Africa's progress in their own unique ways. Among the notable individuals featured are Thames, Ayar Asisat Otswole, Blessing Joel, Abang, and Cleo Coco Aribe. And that's it. Rivers United will know their opponent in the quarterfinals of the CAF Confederation Cup today as the Confederation of African Football holds the draw in Cairo. Rivers qualified for the last 8 of the second-tier competition when they finished second in their group after losing the final group game against Asema Musa in Ivory Coast. The reigning champions of Nigerian Professional Football League will be drawn against one of the teams that finished top of the other groups. Meanwhile, the NFF champions are currently placed second in Group B with 19 points from 10 matches as they face Lobby Stars and Sunshine Stars respectively in the rescheduled match day 11 and 12 features. And that's it on the Newsbrief. For more stories, please follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and do subscribe to our YouTube channel at Plus TV Africa and Plus TV Africa Lifestyle. You can also view us on Limex on www.limex.tv and Global TV apps anywhere in the world. I am Messi Bukbo. Many thanks for watching.
What we do not understand, we will stigmatize.
What you can see is the remaining of the tanker that exploded.
The suspect equally confessed.
A 500 naira they collect them. If you no talk, then go beat you. Now 2,500 they pay.
Hello and welcome to What Are You Saying? #Ways, where we talk about topics in the news as it affects us all. I am Osayome Saleh, and today, even though it's our ladies' night out, we have a gentleman amongst us. Hello, Kunle Lawal.
Good day. It's a pleasure to be here as always. You know, being a friend of family, I think it's an interesting time. But you know, ladies' night. Let's see how it goes.
Yes, so you're looking amazing, by the way.
Thank you, and you knocked the charts yourself.
Oh, thank you, thank you. How are you, NJ?
I'm doing swell. I'm doing great. Had a great day at work, so yeah.
Had a very long day at work. I had a very long day. Okula, you were at a colloquium today. How was it?
Yes,
it was his birthday.
Yeah, it was quite impressive, you know, sitting down in the colloquium, watching a man being celebrated for his 62nd birthday. Quite prominent people there, and, you know, having a life that you could describe based on your character over time and, you know, your dedication to leadership. It's something that's rare, and, you know, he's someone who's acknowledged for meritocracy, which is something that we have lost totally in this country.
In this country, yeah. I'm actually I'm a huge fan of his because it's very interesting how some people quietly just, you know what, I want to do something right. And he was one of those people that stuck his neck out, especially this election season. So it's a good thing. It's a very, very dicey place to be, but hey, we have one life to live. We have to live it well.
I think what was most interesting at the colloquium was the ability to merge, you know, so you had LP candidates, you had APC, the First Lady of Lagos was there, and, you know, you had, you know, a whole mix, and, you know, everybody, as much as they want to send annoying texts to each other, they had to sit down there and smile and celebrate a great man. And for me, that's what makes you, you know, part of the most rare tribe in Nigeria, which is being Nigerian. And it was a great thing.
Absolutely. I think we have EC on Zoom. EC, are you there? Hello. EC, are you there?
Yes, I am. Okay. Hello, ladies. Hello, Kunle.
How are you?
Hi.
I'm very well, thank you.
How was your day?
Well, it's been a bit stressful, but we're here. We're doing what we love to do.
Okay. All right, so today we want to discuss something interesting. It was actually the topic we penned out for yesterday, but sorry, let's not even apologize to our viewers. We apologize for yesterday. We couldn't carry on with the show. So that's why we moved, you know, the topic till today, and also we have Kunle Lawal, because we're discussing issues around how the youth can leverage technology for governance, right? And here's what we found as today's quote. It is the duty of the youth to war against indiscipline and corruption because they are the leaders of tomorrow, right? So, as I said today, technology is the future, and for any nation to reach its full potential, it must leverage the power of technology to empower its youth. So, it's our ladies' night out, but we have a gentleman in our midst. So, Kunle Lawal, EC, NG, and I will be discussing the topic leveraging technology, you know, what for governance, and what the youth, what their responsibility would be in this, you know, in this whole mix. When we open our phone lines, we'd love to hear what you have to say about this. But first, let's go on a break. When we come back from the break, we want to quickly run through what we found in the news.
Increase the reach of your events or business services. To advertise on Plus TV Africa, please call 0906 000 5719 or 0909 040 8408, or send an email to marketing@plustvafrica.com. Plus TV Africa. Big stories live here.
All right, you are still watching Ways. Now, International Day of Mine Awareness and Assistance in Mine Action is observed every year on April 4th to raise awareness against explosive mines and gather assistance towards their eradication. The Mine Action community plays a significant role towards achieving the Mine Action Goals, and it is led by the United Nations Mine Action Service. You know, when you watch some old movies where they have all those
mining scenes,
mine sites and all of that, like it's quite scary. You
know,
don't know what next step you would take.
I keep saying I'm happy I'm born in this generation because, you know, going back to like the Vietnam War, World War II, where they plant mines and you're just walking as a soldier.
Yeah, and you just detonate. Yeah.
No, come on. Please, I prefer this one. You know what's happening.
At least do you understand? We know where. We know. Do you understand? Like, I mean, you know, some things are better just left in historical books, not to be experienced. Honestly, because
Just
that
to be
thing is so
remembered.
like, you know, when you watch some movies and you see those mine sites that, you know, the person is trying to go
When they have casualties.
through, when they have all those casualties, you see, like your heart will be palpitating. Please let it not detonate. Let it not, you know. So it's. I'm happy that again people are actually even very. You know, some things we don't even care about these things, but these things still remains very, very much an issue for some other parts of the world,
Hence
even
the
in
reason
this
why it has
age
its
and
own
time.
name.
Yeah. All right. So, Easty, let me come to you. What did you find for us in the news today?
My story in the news is it's rather a sad one, and it has to do with a young man who was killed in school. This happened in Uniben in Benin, and this is the headline that caught my attention was Uniben condemns killing of final year student, and the management of the University of Benin has condemned the killing of the final year student, popularly known as Mayor. He's a student of the Department of Public Administration, and he is said to be the chief care guide in the school, and he was shot dead by unknown gunmen. So the university, this happened actually last night actually, and the organization, which is Uniben, has sent the PRO to talk to the public about it, and while commiserating with the people and the family who have lost a loved one, they are also expressing the fact that they are looking into it with the help of the police and the internal security to confirm how this young man was killed and who were the culprits that were involved. And the PRO's name is Dr. Benedita Ehanire, and while she was doing this, she expressed her pain that at a time like this, where children are supposed to be going to school, they are actually being killed in school. So this should not happen again. While I do understand where she's coming from, I should also reiterate the fact that when students go to school, they should face the sole purpose of them being in school, which is their education, and not, partake in cultist activity or cult activities, basically.
It's quite unfortunate.
Yeah, quite unfortunate.
School is somewhere that you go to learn, and you're supposed to be safe within the confines of the school. So to imagine that your child or ward could, go to school and not return home is quite unfortunate. And I think it's the responsibility of the university to actually investigate and find out what exactly happened.
Absolutely.
And to actually report to the authorities when they do. And I guess, my sympathies to the parents of
just so sad final year
student after strike and everything. So it's
there are some things better left to the imagination. Okay, let me take your story.
My story is speaking on the divorce rate amongst young couples in the FCT. So the judge of the Federal Republic of Nigeria Magistrate Court, Sheikh Ayuba Abubakar, has expressed worries over the high rate of divorce amongst young couples in Nigeria, especially in the FCT. You know, he expressed his concern while speaking at the annual Ramadan lecture over the weekend. He said, as a judge, that he's having a high rate of divorce, especially the rate in the FCT is so alarming. Young couples in 2 years, 3 years marriage drag themselves to court, and he has discovered that most of them, there's no way out to separate them and for them to live in peace. So, well, the story goes on, but it's just quite interesting for him to be bothered about the high rate of divorce. I guess the kind of cases that are going on now. So for me, I just feel like, yes, it has been of note, I think, recently that there has been a high case of divorces. And this is...
I think it's not even unique to the FCT.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's a general...
Tell us why people are divorcing in your state.
Why do you think I'm kind of looking and saying...
No. You are the FCT
totally
person.
Unfair because this Lagos...
Yes, it's like a singled it out. It happens everywhere.
So for me, I think generally in Nigeria, or in the world actually, the impatience or the lack of character of this generation has not only eaten across different things from politics, governance, has also come into our basic family unit, which is marriage. Most people are ready to disagree at anything. This is the most highly self-aware generation in life. And most shockingly, highly self-aware, but totally oblivious of the word selflessness. And because of that, 80 or 90% of the things that you read are all about you, about me, about this.
That's been prejudging, actually. How can you say that oblivious of selflessness?
I'll give you an example. Let's take your celebrity people, because that would be very easy for you to for everyone to understand. So Meghan Markle, and this is not a common position. Well, Meghan Markle, you're getting married into the British royal family. What did you expect? If you're getting married into any royal family anywhere in the world, you know what you're getting into. Let's not go into this. You know what you're going to expect. What do you expect? A puppy. You're not going to get that. That is the tradition. That's who we are. If you want to stay away from it, stay away from it. If you don't want heat, get out of the kitchen. And that's the way things are. The present generation we live in tries to, how would I put it? I don't want to use the word woke, because with the amount of Google, I can tell you most people do not know more than one river or two rivers in Africa. So I really don't, even with ChatGPT. So I don't agree really, like woke means you know what it means.
Being up to date.
So I think we've relied a lot on, we are so selfish in this generation. We're not ready to give back to anything. And our impatience and intolerance levels are quite high.
Very sure. I agree with you.
Now, this is the story I want you to take for me. Donald Trump has arrived at the Manhattan Criminal Court to surrender to authorities and face charges. Trump has reportedly been charged with 34 felony counts of falsification of business records. According to report, Trump will be fingerprinted but not handcuffed. He will also not have a mugshot taken. This comes as reports are circulating that the judge presiding over the case may issue a gag order, because you know, say the man sabi talk, preventing the former president from speaking publicly about his court proceedings. While in his motorcade to the courthouse, Trump released the following statement: heading to Lower Manhattan, the courthouse seems so surreal. Wow, they're going to arrest me. Can't believe this is happening in America. MAGA. What's mean MAGA? It says more to come. So, I mean, this is, we all know the back and forth that has been going with the president. But when you are, someone that lives, eats, breathes politics, when you hear things like this, or you see things like this happening, what does it mean to you?
So there are multiple ways of looking at it. The first would be from the average emotional position, which is, they're arresting someone who is being witch-hunted. But we need to understand that even during his tenure of presidency, Trump has been already arraigned on quite a number of charges, but because of the immunity of the office of president, he was exempted from such actions during COVID. the Capitol Hill attack. The list is endless. Not attending the inauguration of the next incoming president. There are lots of things Trump is being held for. And America is all about institutions. Let's not forget that. So since America is all about institutions, Trump has a bid which, of course, he's trying to hide, but we all know he wants to run for president this coming year, this next cycle.
Yeah.
So what is going to happen is critical. He's hoarded White House documents. He's known for a cult following. The way America or the world thinks is strategically. Africa, you stop the guy after the election has been won and say it was rigged. America, Europe, Britain, you stop the guy before he wins the primaries. That's a smarter way to do it. This is no offense, please, I'm not referring to anybody in Nigeria, but I'm just annexing how we look at things generally. So Trump has stepped quite on a lot of lines. His issues with Congress, threatening to not even attend State of the Union while being American president, which has never been heard before. Trump has taken quite a lot of time. I think all of this, I know why he won't be handcuffed. He's an ex-president. America must protect the institution. So he won't be handcuffed. He will be gagged also because we all know Trump. Trump is like a machine gun with a keypad. He's a machine gun with a keypad. So it's kind of, Trump will be held a little bit. But I think all of this is being done so that he doesn't run in the next cycle. And once he doesn't run in the next cycle, I'm sure, as much as he has broken the law, there will be softer charges, just basic fines, restrictions on some actions, and he'll be let go of.
So do you ever see this kind of thing happening in Nigeria?
No.
Okay, let me...
Not anytime soon.
Let
me say it that way.
It could happen.
There's a possibility.
Yes,
There's a possibility of it happening in Nigeria. And the only possibility is this. The day we all enjoy 24 hours light for 3 years in Nigeria, then we can start to think of it. I didn't say it will happen. Start to think of it. That's how close we are to
We'll
it.
leave it there. Wow. We have an interesting conversation to take this conversation further. Stay with us. We'll be right back. All right, thanks for staying with us. We're discussing issues around youth involvement, right? So referencing an article by Akinji Daniel, technology is key in the development of virtually all nations of the world. It has a historical record of bringing advances that have led to healthier, wealthier, and more productive lives, and is a key ingredient to solutions to the most serious poverty, alleviation, and economic development challenges that we currently face and are likely to face in the future. So young people are oftentimes regarded as tech natives who need no assistance when it comes to navigating technological tools. So we can therefore say that we're leveraging technology. Leveraging technology as young people, how would this help, in terms of giving better leadership, better governance, right? That's the question or the conversation for tonight. Now, please, let's hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join the conversation. Send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081-803-4663. You can also tweet at us at Wayshow, AFCA1 with the hashtag Wayshow. All right, so the reason we had to play that video was because that's the wave of the moment right now. A lot of people are doing the Mr. Yakubu challenge, right? And this particular song is coming off of the back of the just concluded 2023 general elections, right? Young people are very creative. They're very talented. They have a lot of, gifts and talents that they can always use, to pass a message. So when I watched this video, even though he's speaking to and I put it in quote, the anomalies that happened during the election, it just got me thinking. Truly, we can do a lot more than Fela did. Fela sang about governance, he was singing about all of those things, right? But nothing really changed because he was just stating the problem. But now imagine us truly now taking everything that we have at our beck and call. So imagine Falz creating a video on your local government chairman, on this, the things to look out for, you know, leveraging technology to just drive better governance. You know, so that got me thinking, and, you know, that was why, you know, the topic came to be. What would it look like if the youth truly engaged the capacity that they have, you know, mix it with technology to drive better governance? Because we've seen that our fight or whatever has failed at the level of PVC, it has failed at the level of whatever. So why don't we just say, you know what, anybody that has either elected or selected themselves there, let us just make sure that they're doing the job and use this same technology to drive that. Is it possible?
Yes, it is. I've been part of a lot of things that have helped drive technology in politics and governance in Nigeria. From the first e-election being ratified by political parties, by any political party, by INEC in 2016, it was conducted, you know, under, you know, participation by me and a few others, then as a National Publicity Secretary. I must critically say, you cannot engage what you don't understand. So yeah, the Falz video looks good, it's great. But here are some few things I need to point out. If you've read the Electoral Act, before you get to, you know, the issues with IREV that we're complaining about, there were other anomalies that were broken down a lot earlier. So one of them is within the Electoral Act. I can't remember the exact subsection right now. I think 772, I'm not sure. But it clearly states that all political parties, before Congress and Convention, must produce a soft copy and a hard copy of all the membership of its parties, of the party. Now, this was not completed by any of the 18 political parties. That's already an anomaly, meaning that all congresses and conventions which were held, or primaries,
were flawed,
which means whoever emerged from it did not react. This is regardless of parties, so whether you support Labour, NNPP, PDP,
so
APC,
all parties failed at that level.
They all failed. So you see, you can't start ignoring A, B, C, then get to Z and start shouting. That's what the problem is. I think Section 95(2) of the Electoral Act clearly states that, though yet to be interpreted by the Supreme Court, but it clearly states that no state apparatus can be involved in supporting or degrading any candidate. State apparatus refers to appointed executive and paraphernalia of elected officials. So a governor can support anybody he wants to, but commissioners can't. We don't see those situations in Nigeria. You have even, what is shocking, a campaign spokesman who is a sitting minister. That's wrong.
That's wrong.
Yeah. That's wrong. It's totally
should
wrong.
Have resigned if you wanted to take on that position.
And as a son, it comes a little embarrassing. We start to question what the body of benchers has a position on this, because yes, the interpretation is not a minister cannot. You know, in Nigeria, we virtually want to write in the constitution, the president needs to brush his teeth.
Yes.
Before we understand, the president needs to brush his teeth. And it doesn't do that. So there are a lot of things. The youth are critical because, of course, the largest voting population, they put a lot into everything. But like I said, you can't engage what you don't understand. So there are things you need to be part of. Yeah, everybody will want to say, I got my PVC. No, in politics, PVC is not the first move. If you go to countries like America,
that's already
UK,
too late.
it's too
At
late.
the point of PVC, it's already too late.
If you go to America, UK, China, you know, other participatory, you know, elective systems, what you're going to find out is that you have more people in political parties than people that vote. And this is because you affect the kind of people that emerge. Once they emerge and 5 are good, you don't need to bother yourself who exactly wins.
And may the best man win.
That beautiful. But we don't want to be part of politics. We'll say one party is bad. I don't believe any party is bad. What happens is that some parties have bad players. Some have more bad players than the others. Let's be honest. I'm just being critical. Nigerians were, okay, behind a particular party I don't want to name. And they were so drunk about the political party. But let's look at the system within political parties. The entire hierarchy is made up of people that were in those other parties that they say they don't want to be a part of. So what are you talking about? It is not parties that are bad. It's players within the parties that are bad.
Absolutely.
And for me, the youth miss this. And I blame a lot of things on, as much as we say technology has been good, it also has been bad. So Nigeria is at a point where, I travel a lot, it's at a point where I feel that, we've come to a point where ethnicity didn't really matter. I'm a lot mixed and I move around quite a lot. But the same technology that can be used for good, so technology is a double-edged sword, that can be used for good, actually was used to cause mayhem. The amount of ethnicity and tribalism brought into this politics and religion brought into this brand of politics was driven with technology, making it closest to Nigeria has never been this close to 1965 preceding the Civil War until this election.
Okay, so I mean, this is interesting. I would like to hear Isi's thoughts, and I'd like to hear NJ's thoughts on this, because Misha, when I saw the video of Mr. Yakubu, when I saw that video, I thought, imagine if we start to wake up to the reality. I mean, you are the one that's always driven it into our heads. I think when we met you, we became a lot more politically literate. Thank you for increasing my political awareness. I was a complete dummy. I can announce myself on TV. I was a complete dummy when it comes to political issues. And thank you for your friendship and continuous guidance, because it has really helped to open my eyes. You know how you used to shout, you and Uti would shout about PVC is not the answer. We didn't see it until 2023 happened. All of us, our eye come clear, But you see, now we are seeing them releasing videos, releasing skits, and all of those things, right? I am just thinking, can we find a way to channel that energy, towards, and I'd like to hear your thoughts, Isi, towards creating some form of consciousness? Because it's one thing for politics to happen. There is a governance part that nobody is paying attention to. You now sleep again, and now wake up 4 years after again, say you want to go and elect somebody. But there was governance for 4 years. Nobody paid attention. And we're having problems there. Isi, let me hear your thoughts.
Well, this is a topic that is very close to my heart, because we have disregarded the principles of governance. And the principles of governance varies. There is fairness, there is transparency, there is responsibility, and there is one more thing I can't remember. I think participatory, basically. So we have, like Kunle stated earlier, we have not participated fully in terms of what is expected of us to actually get what we are supposed to get from our government or whoever is governing us. And for us to achieve all of this, we have to take the concept of the principles of governance into heart. And we've not looked at where we're going to as a people and as the youth of Nigeria, basically. Why am I saying this? We send out a narrative based on the media. We send out a narrative, whether it's on social media, whether it's on the internet, or in whatever capacity, basically, whether it's local, we send out whatever message or narrative we want to send out to the populace to listen to us or to get an information on. Now, this same narrative is also sold to us by the government. How do we counter this? Okay, that's my take. How do we counter this? We can counter this by creating, the digital governance doesn't, when we have digital governance, the internet doesn't forget. We can always go back and record everything that has been stated by the government or whoever is governing us. We can go back and talk to them about this and give them facts and figures.
And remind them of all their promises.
Yes, and remind them of their promises. These are the things that we can actually do because the internet doesn't forget. So
we can actually hold them accountable. That's what I'm hearing you say.
Yes, we can hold them accountable based on what they have done and said in the past. And we can use the media to do that.
Absolutely. Let me come to you, NJ. It's actually interesting. Isi don't turn to monitoring spirit. Make we begin to check all that, what do you call them? All the campaign promises and everything. Just note all the timestamps, everything. Yeah. And once it's time, start giving them the dossier. Oga, you said you're going to give us free education. Oh yeah, where is it?
Because we easily do that on a daily.
Yeah.
We do that when no one is asking us to do that on social media. Someone posts something. You see within a couple of hours, someone goes like years ago and brings it and then has time to go and do an edit and put it side by side and then have a comment and everything. So that is one way we can actually do it. You know, during this whole election and campaign season, a lot of people have said a lot of things, a lot of, you know, campaign promises here and there. And, you know, as time goes on, you know, some of these statements are going to start to change, and we'll see it also in the media. And at that point in time is where
never promised you something.
And is at that point in time that technology can be leveraged to actually hold these people accountable and say, okay, when you were campaigning, you promised us this, you promised us that, and this is you, and then you play a video saying this is you actually doing this. So eventually you can be held accountable. And I feel like another way that we can hold or leverage on technology is actually not being, as youths, not being the incubators of fake news. So also on social media, during the campaign season, a lot of, you know, news was out there. And you couldn't even tell which one was real, which one was fake. You know, there was no way of authenticating.
No sanctions.
There was no sanctions. There was no way of authenticating the news and the information that you were being loaded with. And we were loaded with a lot of information. So it took a lot for people to see which one was real, which one was fake. And as Nigerians, we like to share. So we just went off, you know, spreading and, you know, escalating this news without even verifying if it was actually authentic. So that is one way we can actually curb, because the use, there is a guideline and a principle for even the use of social media and other media, you know, platforms. There is a guideline, things, do's and don'ts. So even when we get information, how we do spread those information actually puts a question on our character, because it is wrong for you to be a perpetrator of news that you're not even sure of. You can, and it's very easy. There are a lot of group chats that were formed also during that period, and a lot of information was carried out, you know, and this whole, you know, religious and tribal issues affected the country in different ways. Got to the point where even, you know, you have a staff or somebody who has been working with you, and for the first time you were looking at them very differently. You were looking at them like, okay, so if something happens tomorrow, are you going to actually, irrespective of how good I've been to you, are you going to turn against me? So the country got to the point where we were thinking about that, of our next neighbor. And for me, that just means that we lack a lot of love within the country, and we lack a lot of self-love and love for others. So I know we say that Nigerians are happy people, but you know, this election period actually brought a lot of things that we had bottled up inside, brought it up to the surface, and these are issues that we actually have to deal with if we are to move forward.
Absolutely. I mean, speaking about doctored videos, I mean, I don't know if anyone had recently listened to the audio tape that was allegedly leaked for Oyedepo and Peter Obi. That's the one that is the latest one.
Oh, really?
Well, that's the latest one that, you know, that's been, you know, in the news for a while now, where they mentioned how he was talking about certain things and all of that. I mean, so, you know what? The power that the youth possess, I don't think they understand it yet. But you know what? Let's go on a very short break. When we come back from the break, I'll come to you, Kunle, because there is a power that is really good, that it can actually turn out for our own good. But we just need to channel it right. But we'll take a break. When we come back, I'll also like to open our phone lines to hear your thoughts. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Increase the reach of your events or business services. To advertise on Plus TV Africa, please call 0906 000 5719 or 0909 040 8408, or send an email to marketing@plustvafrica.com. Plus TV Africa. Big stories live here.
All right, so, I mean, if you just tuned in, it's our ladies' night out, but we have a gentleman in our midst. His name is Kune Lawal, and we're discussing governance, and we're asking how can they use leverage technology, right? And what's their responsibility, you know, in leveraging technology to drive good governance. Now, please let's hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join the conversation, send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081-803-8663. You can also tweet at us at WayShowAfrica1 with the hashtag WayShow. All right, so Kule, I was saying that the youth don't understand the power that they possess. And this is why I say so. Monopoly had happened with mainstream media. The only people that could get eyeballs, following, and all of that were the NTAs, the AITs, the whatever, TVCs, the Plus TV, you know. But you see, what social media has done, a macaroni would release a video. Like in less than 20 minutes, you already have 50,000 views. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's that powerful. So now imagine if we now say, because again, we quickly go, we hibernate so quickly. We are angry, we are agitated, we are pushing and everything. The next thing, all the drama happens, we go back to sleep. So imagine if we understood this power and we start to really, you know, become very deliberate about governance. You were the one that taught us that our local government chairman does not have immunity. I can actually sue him to court for not doing some work. Do you understand? Imagine if we understood that. So how can we, that knowledge, how can we begin to feed a lot of young people the power that they possess? We're starting something in partnership with Enough is Enough.
Yeah.
You know, want to do more of those kinds of things so that you just be using your social media platform. It's just like some of these telcos. You know that sometimes if you just tweet, they will answer you quicker. Some banks, they don't want to see their name on Twitter because once you tweet and you tag them, they will quickly respond to you. So that's power. So how do we leverage on that?
I'll go back to what I said first. You can't engage what you don't understand.
I know.
But now, here's the point. So I'll give an example in Nigeria. Doctored or undoctored phone call. Everybody's arguing this call is doctored. You know, there was one about article preceding 3 days before the election, which they were talking SPV or whatever, which made news. The first thing you need to know is against the constitution and laws protecting Nigerians
to record any phone call.
Yes. Even the government does not have that power. If you address that first, you'll be solving a bigger problem. So, you see, we have left what actually is law and are following the emotional aspect of things, which is Nigeria's biggest problem. Now to the fact that, okay, we can leverage this, we can use this, we can know this. I'll tell you something, and I'll give you two situations. The Electoral College in Nigeria has done a lot of work in politics and governance. But I'll tell you one of the things that happened. We launched one of our cohorts the same day news broke that Yul Edochie, no offense, has a, I don't know, new wife, or then was side chick, then now wife, and you get. Naturally, the Electoral College, give or take, has never fallen below 150 sign-ups in a day. We fell below 40.
Oh.
The question is what exactly is important to Nigerians, and I don't blame them. We've lost meritocracy in this country. This is a country that will give 70 million to someone who went to Big Brother. Didn't win, went to Big Brother. Give a person a position with government, and they say, well, what do you want somebody to come out with a 5.0 GPA and collect 1 million naira check? It doesn't mean that they will, which they will not even pay them, which they will not even pay them eventually. They will have to remind the government.
It's just the pictures for follow-up.
So it's the message we are sending.
Lopsided.
So Nigerians now, I really don't blame the next generation. You're saying, okay, we want them to adapt, to be close to governance. We want them to be cool with governance. We're not. As much as we try to teach them, as much as enough is enough, Electoral College Nigeria, CGIG, Yaga are doing massive work. None of us sleep. It doesn't seem enough, because the truth is they've been bought over by something and told that this doesn't matter. And the only reason they are told this doesn't matter is so that the actors that act can perpetrate what they need to perpetrate. First, under the Constitution of Nigeria, and I'm in Lagos, I need to tell you this. This is not about no man's land or anything or that nonsense everybody has to say. Any Nigerian can run for an office anywhere in Nigeria, as guaranteed by the Constitution. It is not a probability, it is law. Any Nigerian can live anywhere, any Nigerian can run anywhere. Come on, I'm an example. My name is Kunle, I ran for Senate in FCT. What are you talking about? I'm an example of that. So let's not say, this is one, I hate the word activist, but let's use it for this conversation. See this activist on Waze. He's saying anybody can run anywhere. I've lived it. If I haven't done it here, I'm not going to tell you that.
But would you be able to run in Lagos?
Why would what to stop me? I'm just not interested in Lagos. You have no drainages. Back to what I was saying. No offense. But back to what I was saying. It's important that it's important that you get to understand how the system really works. It's important that you are keyed into understanding what exactly goes on. I was very disappointed. Governor Umahi I think, was stating that he moved parties. And, it was on Channels TV, and they asked him clearly, why did you move parties? Did you enjoy the manifesto? He said, I'm a new member, I've not read the manifesto. God damn.
On that note, hold on. Sorry, they said I did not open phone line. Our phone line is now open. The number to call is 07025007749. That's the number to call. Remember to turn off the volume of your television set, please, or whatever it is that you're watching us for. Please go ahead.
So, goddamn, how do you do that in a democracy? If you do that in any other country, you'll be short of short. And it's cool here. You don't need to read the Constitution. I can tell you, 97%, and this is me saying it on national TV, 97% of the people in parties have not read their party constitution.
Well, if you don't mind me asking you this, I know this is something that we need to talk about, but you are the political expert here, so I want to get your take on this. And this has to do with selective governance. I was going to talk about it, but I think you will be in a better position to talk about it. So what do you think about the situation we have currently in Nigeria? Do you think that there is selective governance where when we need to actually get the job done, in quotes, the DSS knows how to get the job done, seek the people out, know the corrupt office individuals, and get them to answer to the law. But when it comes to a certain set of individuals, they do not go the extra mile. So do you think we have selective governance in Nigeria, basically?
We don't have selective governance. What we've done is that we've actually truncated our constitution, and here is how it goes. Now, in any country in the world, police is under justice, because the job of justice is to, of course, provide interpretation and enforcement of laws. But now you have the police under interior, which is under the executive, which is thereby subverting the powers of the Attorney General is elected by the president in Nigeria. In other civilized countries, you have the body of benchers nominating somebody endorsed by the president and the National Assembly. So the initial problems are things we haven't even decided to talk about. And as long as police remains under the executive's control, how are you going to have justice, please? You had Supreme judges being arrested.
So in other words, we actually have selective governance.
I wouldn't call it selective, because all of us are guilty of it. See, if you owed me 150,000 naira now, if I had a cousin that is a policeman, man, you're in trouble. So please do not say it's only politicians. We're all guilty of it. It's not a.
It's something that we're all guilty of.
But why is it allowed to happen?
Because we generally
That's why selective governance. That's my point.
Why is it allowed to happen? There should be rules, and there should be a way of.
Well, for me, Nigerians, how would I put it? The best way to explain this is to use an analogy. Nigerians are at a buffet of corruption. We just wait for whose turn it is to eat our father. So as long as somebody is in power, you tolerate the nonsense going on because you know one day my uncle or what I'm sitting opposite can become minister, and then I would be able to, abuse the privileges of office. So we just wait for that.
That means that we, as the youth of Nigeria, we are probably not responsible enough to actually participate in politics.
I don't think it's a question of responsibility, and I don't term myself youth. I'm actually going to be 45 end of this year, so I don't term myself youth. Yes, I can announce my age, but I think it's a responsibility. It's an issue of character, which is lacking. If you track youth in Nigeria, or people who are considered youth in Nigeria, which is anybody below 55, which is the wrong age, but anybody below 55, 1 year they're saying this about Buhari, next year they're saying this about Tinubu, next minute they're saying this about Peter Obi. The lack of consistency or lack of dedication to laws, and Nigerians are not judged, they are not directed by laws or governance, they are being directed by emotional perspectives. The person that I'm supporting is my tribe, the person I'm supporting is my religion, or the person is in my political party. Apart from that, ask a Nigerian to give a qualitative reason why. We don't even know what party is capitalist in Nigeria. We don't know which one is socialist. And we don't. If you ask, I can call hierarchy of national party hierarchy, and these people do not know whether their parties actually represent a socialist perspective or a capitalist perspective, and that's how bad it is. So, what do you expect from the citizens?
So, where I think I hear you like circling around is ignorance, highly ignorant.
I think ignorance is a good word. We have to find a word worse than
ignorance, right? I can imagine. So how do we even begin to correct this, right? Because again, a good majority of young people spend their time online, on social media, some of these apps, and all of that, doing the challenge, doing the whatever challenge, and all of that. How do we begin to speak their language? Because again, for you to be able to reach them, you must be able to, first of all, transmit your information through the medium that they are residing in. So how do we start to organize that?
I think we've reached a point in Nigeria where we're beginning to spoon-feed people and expect them to be spoon-fed. I'm one of those that doesn't align to the fact that we have to translate. So I remember when we said PVCs are not important, and the Electoral College put it out that we will support the PVC drive, but we're not going to be a flag bearer of it. And we're talking about political parties. Everybody said, Kunde, the Electoral College, they've gone crazy. When the emergence happened after the primaries, everybody was like, okay, Kunde got it. So I think I rather set the precedence for what should be, and then allow people to make their judgments. I don't need to tell you water is hot. Sometimes you have to allow the baby put his finger into the water, and then when it burns him. So I believe Nigerians should first suffer from what is. And this is not that I want people to suffer, but it seems that's the only language we understand. Because let's look at it this way. The Electoral College will say we are giving you free classes, 9 weeks. We're going to give you a certificate. We're going to train you. We're going to do this. People are not ready to attend it. But tell them we're going to, you can pay 25K to sit down with Portable. And the room is full.
Yes.
Please help me. I can't help you help yourself.
Trust me, I can understand that. Yeah, true.
And I've taken that position. It might seem harsh, most people say, but I think people need to understand a few things.
So let's get our fingers burnt first.
I think that will send a better message.
So this is, we have more youth with PVC in the north than in the south. They came out and voted for that choice. He won the election. The radio is the media in the north. Over 40 million people listen to the radio.
I agree with the radio part.
Yeah.
But I'm still in I'm in total disagreement with the voting patterns. The highest voting bloc is the youth, which is over close to about 46-47%. If you put it if you put the age up to 45, you're going to have 70% of Nigeria's voting population. So, and I think that is more predominant in the south. So you can't say, so the key is not who has a PVC. I think what the person is trying to say and cannot put properly is that those in the north will use their PVCs. Those in Lagos, there's Tampa Bay, there's Ghana to go to during elections. You know, Lagos, they like the soft life, which is why they don't have drainages. And Lekki is like a pet aquarium.
Will you stop saying you don't have drainages?
Wow.
Only
Lekki is like a what?
a pet aquarium. Wow. So I hope you are hearing, so that in case you want to look for who to find or who to send your bill to. His name is Kule Lawal. He's the of the Electoral College, the founder CEO. But you know, I don't know. It's a bit of a downer for me, what you've said, but it's the bitter truth that we must all swallow. Young people truly, they want to be spoon-fed. Everybody just wants, and all of that. But I still believe in guidance, right? If we have to handhold people, we can, because, Kule, the kind of education you received growing up is not the type of education that is happening now. A lot of things have been so watered down. So that toughness, or that, what's it called?
Tenacity.
That expanded mindset that you think that they should have, young people should have. They can't have it. A lot of people are very shallow. They're just very the basics. Let's not do too much.
What?
So that's what I'm saying to you, that because again, when you destroy the educational sector, you understand that capacity for them to think and reason. You and I say, come, let's sit down and reason together. In no day again. So how do we solve the problem? Because you must really handhold people. You can't just say, okay, I beg, if they cannot use their brain, they want to go and sit down or listen to Portable or do Malian, whatever, then let them go. You can't, because they were not given better choices. So they don't even know how to make better choices for themselves.
Before Kule comes in, can I just say one
quickly?
Just a brief one. My take on this is that the younger generation today, or those of us that are in the younger generation, that tends to be the younger generation, what we have is we have a narrative that has been given to us that we have imbibed. And that narrative is not feasible, is watered down. And that watered down concept is not serious. So wherever we look for what is easier to achieve than looking for what is difficult to achieve. That's why you're talking about the fact that we do not think, we do not, have that tenacity or that drive to go the extra mile to achieve what we're supposed to achieve.
What's shocking now here is that, okay, the Electoral College in its 3 years of existence has trained over 10,000, and that's virtually, we've done, adding physically, we've done over 15,000. And what I've seen is that when you provide people the necessary information needed to achieve something, what I've seen is that we've seen people drive and become local government chairman. We've seen people drive and become president of the Medical Association of Students. We've seen people drive. One of our students was a deputy gubernatorial candidate. We've seen people drive. We've seen them being able to dream. So I don't think the problem is they're not able to think. It's just they've chosen something to become a norm. Now, I'll give you an example. Etiosa, which is a local government here, I won't talk about their local government electrician, but no offense, but I'll talk about what matters. Now, Etiosa, everybody on Friday knows Etiosa is the hottest place in Nigeria entirely. In short, Etiosa could be called the Las Vegas of Nigeria.
True. Yeah.
Now, the money that is mostly spent on Friday night is being spent by the youth population. Do you know that if you take the amount that is being spent on clubs in a month in Etiosa, it's enough to deliver a governor into office?
A month?
Yeah, I don't need to go a year. A year can deliver president. I guarantee that. If you put down I didn't say all clubs in Lagos. I narrowed down to just Etiosa. That is how misplaced we are. I told somebody and I said, do you know that to deliver a counselor in Etiosa, the money people spend on one Friday night will give you a counselor and a local government chairman. But we don't think that way. Nigerians have been taught to think, like I said, it's a selfish perspective. As long as I get what I want, or I go where I'm able to go, everybody else can drink Gary. In short, I think this generation is more drunk at trying to show the next man, I am better than you. And that is their undoing. And that is also provided a little bit by the technology.
Narrative.
Because I mean, it's been
For
said
the gram
that,
now.
yes, Instagram is the biggest platform of envy. So it's almost like, let me go and check what NJ is doing. She just bought a new car, or yeah, myself. And that's what has even also escalated this BBL, the whatever,
That's not good.
the cars, you know, everything, the fraud.
Like what? What? I'm the head of ECN, who I just bought iPhone 14. Man, I
Why?
have to join now.
Yes, I have to get it, yeah. Wow. It's a bit of a downer, but we are going to survive. I think that consciousness, I still would not agree with you that it's a place of selfishness. You understand? If it's because you don't understand how important governance is to you. That's why you will not pay attention to the issues around governance and politics.
Do you know why I feel they understand what's
Majority.
important, how important governance is to them? If you check the average timeline, people complain about light, they complain about dustbins, they complain about taxation. It's massive. Check the average timeline. Everybody in the morning has one thing to nag about Nigeria. Now, it's also misguided because of their illiteracy that the first person they seem to think of is the president. That totally has nothing to do with you. So
they tell you, so now they don't understand.
it's president. Does
governor.
being now your local government champ. They don't even address governors. I've been to states where you have people saying the governors tell them, it's Abuja holding your money. I can tell you clearly here. What do not people not say these days in this election time? Okay, I learned something this election time. Go and verify. There is no governor that if he does not receive his FAC allocation by 1st of the next month, he will be in Abuja. The president doesn't want to be seeing them. Trust me. He releases their money every 26th. And that's what happened. But governors will lie to their people and say Abuja is owing them money. What? The states have private jets. If I remember 1999, governors used to drive themselves. What went wrong?
That's
Cost
the
of
another
governance
kind
is really increased.
On that note, we are finished. You see why ladies' night we should not be bringing Kule Lawa.
I'm telling you.
But thank you so much, Kule. This has been, you see, every time I sit with you to discuss issues around this Nigerian problem, I learn something every day. We keep on learning. We will keep on learning. I believe there's hope. We can make things change. Thank you, ladies. Thank you, Isi, and thank you, NJ. Before we go, ensure you follow us across all our social media handles at Wayshow Africa. You can interact with us further. More importantly, follow all the engagements on social media. Like, share, and invite your families and friends to watch and follow the conversation. Now, if you missed our quote for the day, here it is again. It is a duty of youth to war against indiscipline and corruption because they are the leaders of tomorrow. Even though some will argue with you that the tomorrow doesn't seem to ever come. We'll see you guys tomorrow at 8 p.m. as we bring another, our own tomorrow will come at 8 p.m. as we bring another great conversation to your screen. Enjoy.
name is Oluwatosin Olale, and our business is called Pathway Giants Limited. At Pathway Giants Limited, we provide packaging solutions for small businesses in Nigeria. Our focus is on small businesses. We help small businesses to take their products from local to global, because we know that we have a lot of products being produced, especially now that everybody's brother and sister is into business. So we know a lot of people are producers, but we still have to, they still are limited in markets to the Nigerian market. And with the ACTFA agreement and the government trying to encourage businesses to take their business global, to export their products, our Nigerian products are not so easily acceptable in other climes because our packaging is poor. So that's what we are here today. We are here to fill in the gap, to help provide workable packaging solutions with smaller minimum order quantities and help them package their products in a way that will delight their customers. My background is in banking. I started banking in 2006, thereabouts, and I worked in about 3 banks. So my journey started when I was moved in 2012 to marketing. And because I was moved to marketing, I was handling businesses, and I had to, I had a close relationship with business owners. And that was how I began to understand the kind of businesses, the way businesses are run, basically, and also what kind of problems they have. And that was how I jumped into this. So from leaving banking, the only thing I had to do was set up a packaging company and be able to provide solutions to what I thought was a problem in Nigeria. I'm a late bloomer when it comes to knowing what I want to do with my life, and that's why a lot of people know from the very beginning. But for a very long time, I just knew I wanted to work in an office. But as at that time, something started shifting in me, because the more I saw people running their business and, fulfilling their destiny, so to speak, it felt like something was missing for me. And at some point, I met someone that makes nylon. That's all she does. And she used to make what we call toromagbe. That's the small black nylon that when you go somewhere, you buy something, they put it in. That was what she used to make. And that's started sealing it in for me that, okay, this is what I want to do. But I don't want to do it the same way she's doing it. I want to be able to provide a service that everybody needs. Because we all know that the toromagbe nylon is something that is more of a menace in society. But how can I take this, what I love, and bring it into what is a problem in the society? And that was what bettered the packaging industry. So we have evolved over time from just providing shopping bags into providing solutions that businesses need. My training was more or less informal, because there is no particular school that teaches packaging, but I had to choose mentors, and most of my mentors were not even in the same industry I work in. So I had to marry the kind of information I was getting along with regular business trainings into what I have today. I'm a UWIN 3 awardee. The government of Goodluck Jonathan awarded some entrepreneurs grants back then, and I was one of the sets for the 3rd one. I got 10 million naira, and that was the first funding we used for this business. After that, I put in for the Tony Elumelu entrepreneurship program, and I won $5,000. So that has helped, and so many other grants along the way that I've put in for. And then, of course, a lot came in from our savings. And then when I started this business, my husband was still working. So we had to take out a couple of loans here and there. And then, of course, whatever he was able to take out of what he was earning, that's what we used. Challenges, there are many. Where do I start from? So we have the number 1 challenge is power. That's the number 1 challenge. This is a very power-intensive business. So if I was to put on my generator for this system, I will have to use a 100 kVA generator. That's having to spend an average of 50,000 naira for fuel daily. So power is a major challenge. When I want to start my machines, I need to warm them up for like an hour before I start at all. So even if I was using a generator, that's like money down the drain. So we need to have sustainable power to be able to run this business. That's number one. Number two is staffing. We use a lot of blue-collar workers, so they didn't go to school to learn this, they learned it as a trade. You understand? So there is no school in which you go to and say, okay, this is how to run an extruder. We don't have such schools in Nigeria. So they kind of like have they go in under someone, learn it, and then they go out to go and learn. So you can't really place how much information or how much they have learned, except when you put them to test. So sometimes you employ someone and you realize that they don't know as much as they claim they do, or maybe they are making a lot of mistakes. You have to either train them and like I said, there is no formal training system. So you have to either train them or maybe bring in someone that has more experience over them. And then because, like I said, they are blue-collar workers, there is a lot of other issues that spring up as a result of them working with you, because some are not teachable, some come in with their own preconception of how things should be run, and they don't want to change that. So you have to like have a lot of hit and miss before you have your perfect fit. Raw materials. The raw materials industry is dominated by foreigners. So we have Lebanese, we have Indians, and we don't seem to have been able as Nigerians to get into that business effectively. So Nigerians work the recycled raw material aspects. But even when you go outside the country, into China, Dubai, anywhere where all these things are shipped from, and you try to get in there and say, I want to ship, they tell you, no, go to this person that is probably Lebanese, that is working in Nigeria. So one way or the other, they kind of dominate the space, and by dominating the space, they dominate the price. They also own factories. So they kind of control things, they control the pricing of what we sell. They can flood the markets at any time with their own products. Meanwhile, they are the ones still selling raw materials to us at a higher price. So we need a space in which Nigerians are also playing in this space, so that it's more, you have more competition, more healthy competition in that space. First of all, I would say that paper bags are from trees. So if you're using paper bags, they are causing deforestation. And that means you're not helping the environment either. So there is this misconception that, okay, if you use plastic bags, that means you are not helping the environment. That's far from true. The problem we have with everything is that we don't reuse, we don't reduce what we use, we don't reuse, and we don't recycle. The moment we can do these three things, whether for paper bags or for plastic bags or for plastic bottles, then the world will be a better place. The person that started the plastic bags, that invented it because he didn't want them to kill off all the trees to make paper bags. So he invented a plastic bag that could be reusable. The problem started when we started using them as single use. Now, my own industry, like I showed you earlier, we have most of the raw materials we use, especially for our garbage bags and other non-food grade products, are raw materials from recycled products. So the problem in Lagos, I would say Lagos because I don't want to use Nigeria as a whole, is being able to access this waste, because most of it goes to the dumps. And when it goes to the dump, I can't use it anymore because a lot of other chemicals have infused into it. Can we have a place where we can take this raw material, this waste from source? If we can take it from source, then we can recycle and reuse them into bags that we can still use. So for me, I would believe that if we can have a government that would look into resolving the problem and not just taking out, stop banning plastic products. Because I'll put it to you that a paper bag is what, if you're going to buy a paper bag for a particular nylon bag size, then you're going to be paying like 4, 5, 6 times the price you would have paid for the nylon bag. And the nylon bag is more reusable than the paper bag. I'm in the paper bag space too. So I wouldn't want my business to go down, but it's supposed to be a case of education, one, and then having the proper systems in place to collect and separate waste. If we can collect and separate waste from mushy markets, where a lot of nylons and a lot of plastic bottles are being thrown away and thrown into our sewage system, then people like me, we are happier because that means my raw materials are cheaper. It's the advice I give myself every day. sometimes I ask myself, well, what am I doing here? Why am I here? Especially when, you know, the electricity company rears its ugly head and we have power outages or they are simply messing up our plans. I'll tell you, just hang in there. We believe in Nigeria, right? We believe that Nigeria can get better. And I'll consider myself a youth in this case. We, the youth, are the ones that can make it better. So if we all pack up and go, what will happen tomorrow? Will there be no Nigeria? Because we can go there and we can make it happen. It's harder here, yes. You have to strive more. You have to work at it more. But it's still doable. We still have businesses that are selling we still have companies that are selling their businesses for thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars. So if they can hang in there, then we can hang in there. And then we can, you know, leverage on one another. Let's collaborate. Instead of looking at each other as competitors, let's look at each other as collaborators. For example, if anybody wanted to go into this industry, because it's so power and capital intensive, I tell them, why don't you let me produce for you? I'll produce for you at a cheaper rate. You can go on and market. So if we can do that, like if you have a business, another business I'm so passionate and interested in is the food business, you know, because we have a lot of waste and we have some companies that they process these products and they package. So why are you in your little corners trying to, you know, pack it in nylon? And people are telling you your packaging is not nice and you're wondering what else can you do? Why not go to this kind of person? She already has, our place is already NAFDAC approved. Every other approval is in place. Go there with your raw material, go there with your packaging. They package for you and you are home free. So why do we all have to like go into the nitty-gritty parts of each business? You can leverage on each other's spaces and, you know, sell. The selling, the market is where the problem is. Anybody can do anything, but if you can have your market, then you don't even have to have the product. Get someone that has the product. Push. That's the advice I have for people. So it has been a long journey because you have to earn the trust of your customers. But we started small. Even though we had the factory and everything, we had to start small. We had to have a product, so to speak. And it's hard when you're selling packaging because when you're selling packaging, they think customers think you're selling the product in it. So if I give you like I'm going to show you something from Jam Coconuts. So if I'm showing it to you, I'm trying to show you the package, but you can see the product in it. So it's a hard sell. But over time, we've been able to leverage on references. You know, if I produce for you, you refer me to someone. And then also we have a very vibrant social media plan. So we put whatever we do on social media and people from there, and then of course we do social media marketing. And from there we've been having a lot of hits, a lot of customers are asking what we do. Then another fundamental way we've been able to gain customers is that most of people in this space, when you want to package your product, they'll tell you, oh, come and do 100,000 pieces, 200,000 pieces, and then we can package your product for you. But I tell you, come and do 10,000 pieces. And even as we speak, we are looking at how we can work on reducing that to 1,000 pieces. So that means that we are a low entry barrier kind of, we are opening up a low entry barrier kind of market for people that are willing to go into entrepreneurship. Because most people don't even, they don't know if they will have that market yet. And you're telling them, I was talking to a customer recently and she was showing me what she did like 3 years ago. She did like 200,000 pieces. She hadn't used up to 1/4 of it. And now she wants to change her packaging. So all that is a waste. So we are trying to create a niche for those people that, okay, we want to test the market. We have 3-4 products. Which one will move? If I do 100,000 pieces of each product and then one is not moving, does that mean I've wasted my money? So what we are trying to do is, okay, come and do 1,000 pieces. Of course, it will be more expensive than if we were doing 100,000, but it's still at a price you can go to market with. So by the time you do that, you try the market. Oh, I have 5 products, but I think I'll go to market with 3 products. Then we can do 10,000 pieces for you. Then when you grow to the extent where you can do 100,000 pieces, then we can take you to 100,000 pieces. And each time your price drops.
According to a research paper, in several developing countries, there is an informal waste management system. Plastic pollution is currently a serious problem in developing countries, with many people in these countries relying on plastic sachets of water in the absence of affordable and readily available drinking water. The mismanagement of waste, particularly plastic, in these countries through dumping or burning not only has a negative environmental impact, it also has a seriously detrimental effect on public health, with one person dying every 30 seconds as a consequence of poor waste management. According to Bioenergy Consult, in Nigeria, the management of waste is a matter of national concern, as current data shows that the country generates more than 32 million tons of solid waste annually, one of the highest amounts in Africa. Over 15% of the municipal solid wastes generated are from plastics and nylons. The volume of waste does not actually constitute the problem, but the inability of government, individuals, and waste disposal firms to keep up with the task of managing waste and the environment. The problem emanates from the country's poor culture of recycling waste. The Global Journal of Research and Review states that at every hour of the day, waste materials are indiscriminately disposed in Nigeria. The effects are seen in the quality of air, blockage of drainages, destruction of land, and poor health of inhabitants of polluted areas. Thus, green recycling of waste nylon is a veritable tool that should be encouraged in the country. It can promote both social and environmental development. It helps to protect the environment, enhance a cleaner environment, create jobs, generate revenue, brings about poverty eradication programs, reduce municipal solid waste, save costs and energy, among others. It is time we take the recycling of waste very seriously in the country because according to Nairametrics, today, the recycling industry is estimated to be worth several billions of naira, but this is nothing compared to the revenues it has the potential to generate should the right investments be made. Small and medium enterprise, green entrepreneurs, and individuals that are passionate about the environment should tap into this emerging business opportunity. The business process involves collection, separation, and reduction of waste nylon and plastic bottles, and then remanufacturing it into either same product or entirely new products. Items that can be made from recycled waste nylon and plastic bottles include shopping bags, nylons, waste disposable bags, nylon sachets, among many others.
My name is Adewale Olaleye, and I'm in charge of strategy and operation in Pathway Giants. I'm actually responsible for strategy direction for the organization, and I manage the entire production from sourcing of the materials down to producing the materials and delivering for customers and ensuring the customers are satisfied with what was delivered. I looked at it as, because I actually worked in a corporate organization for a couple of years, about 15, 16 years. So I've worked with a lot of people. So working with my wife too, I just assumed that is one of my colleagues that I've worked with because I've been moved from one role to another role, and you have to adapt to the people you meet with. So I just assumed that she's my colleague. Even when I'm in the office, I call her partner. When I'm talking to customers, I don't even want people to see that we're kind of my spouse. So I call her my MD or my colleague in the office. So that's the way I see it. So it's not really different from when I was in the 8 to 5 kind of work, and I see a lot of people I work with. It got to a point when it just started, I was very enthusiastic about it. But it got to a point I was like, wow, are we doing the right thing? Because money just going down the drain. You know, if I need to cite an example, before I used to enjoy my money before we started the business. You know, I'm very comfortable, things were going on with my money, but when we started the business, I discovered that I can't just spend money anyhow. I can't just spend. You know, I have to be looking at, these people might need money now, so they might need to pay NEPA bills immediately, they might need to pay salaries, and no money is coming in, you know, and it was very frustrating. But I just look at it as, you know, when you give out to a child, you know, a child will start sucking, then before start crawling, you know, taking steps one after the other before started walking and running. So I believe that it will get to a point whereby the business will be running as well. So I just have to be a bit patient to see the business go to that level. Fine, I handle strategy. Even when I was doing the 8 to 5, I still look at the book from the back end. I said, okay, how are you guys performing? And I was able to see, okay, we're not doing something right, so okay, why don't you try this? Why don't you use this kind of strategy to see maybe it's worked better? You know, so we started, we changed a couple of strategy, but just last year, something started working, so we started pushing it, and towards the Q4 of last year, the company was able to pay all the bills conveniently without sourcing from other source. You know, so from last year, Q4, we've been profitable. The low side, you know, especially when you're looking for raw materials, you have orders and you cannot even get the right raw materials to fulfill the order, is a lot of challenges. And from the strategy point of view, it was it's a very huge market, and you have a lot of big players. You know, when you were doing the interview with the MD, she mentioned the fact that you have the Lebanese who has foreign money, the backing of the government. Government gives them a lot of grants and loans, you know, for them to operate. So they are quite big. So we try to look at, okay, how can we catch a niche? How can we remain competitive? How can we be able to capture some market? Because if you want to play in that red ocean, definitely the sharks, big sharks, will just eat you up. So we try to look at, okay, how can we differentiate ourselves from the so-called nylon business? You know, that's why we started coming up with what I refer to as a market development strategy, where I was able to identify some markets and create the products from packaging kind of products to meet those markets. And that actually causes the growth to be very slow. But we know we are moving in the right direction, so we kept on growing a bit and bit by bit. And I will categorically say right now that actually we are moving. And I think we are going in the right direction. So that is, to me, is a fun thing for me, because I just look at the entire industry and I'll say, so I can actually still differentiate myself, despite the fact that everybody is looking at, this is the kind of business we run. This is kind of like, if I go to other people that's doing this kind of business, they were like, why are you doing this way? I'll say, no, this is what I feel is right. And I've advised a couple of people. Some people get a kind of transaction. They will tell me, this transaction is a lot of money there. I'll say, I'm not doing. This is not good. By the time they step into it, at the end of the day, by the time you spend 1, 2, 3 months, you'll discover that, this is not a good transaction. But me, I've been able to see it, you know, from afar. Maybe because of my training. I went to a business school, so I studied business as well. So I was able to, you know, understand how to tweak strategy to fit into what you want. I was talking with the MD late last year, early this year. I said I should have even taken this step for a long time. I think I delayed a lot because I discovered that joining the team, you know, I was able to actually drive that operation, and I was able to drive low cost, reduce our cost of operation very well, and that increased our profitability. So, though it was tough, it was a tough decision because, you know, you're going to worlds you don't know what's going to happen. You're getting something paid at the end of 30 days, and now you have to look for how to pay salary, nothing is coming in. But as I am today, I was thinking that I should have even taken a step and moved from the paid employment for a long time. Because I could see that when I added up my own experience as well to the business, then the growth was evident. I started moving at a faster speed. Anyone that's actually doing it, I wouldn't say that doing a 8 to 5 is not a good idea, because actually you need the experience, you need the network, you need all the that experience. Actually, you need to do your drive business. But I think looking at the fact that I am working on my own, I'm able to put food on people's table. I was able to, you know, solve Nigerian unemployment problem. Right now, I have, when we started, we have about 2 staff. Now we are having about 7 staffs, and I'm just recruiting more people now. Maybe in the next 1 month, we might be getting up to 10, 11 staffs. I think that's bringing joy to me to see that I'm actually, you know, putting food on people's table and being a blessing to people. Just beside even making the money, but at least I am giving people happiness, of course, bringing happiness to people's faces. Path to Giant to be a conglomerate, a group of companies. The roadmap has already been drawn to be a global company. whereby we're going to international business, international trade, and then be a one-stop shop for packaging in Nigeria. You know, going to our online space, creating a market space for packaging online. So that's my goal. That's my plan for Pathway Giant.
I was pushed to the point that I had to start something not numb. And I'm a big risk taker and I enjoy doing things that nobody really does. I wanted something different from every other art form that has been pushed out there. I didn't have that fulfillment in what I was doing and I really wanted to express myself more as an artist, and I decided to resign and go into practicing art full time. I loved subjects that had illustrations or drawings in them. I just kept pushing it and went to the extent of studying art in school, so it's been art all my life. I try to conceptualize what I want to create in my head. Even in as much as scattered as it might be, I create it in my head first, then I put it on paper. I sketch, then I try to pick colors, and I proceed to the main piece. A friend of mine told me, like, there's really nothing that could be achieved with graffiti here. The piece behind me is titled Bold Steps. So I'm just trying to put my own as an abstract journey of African fashion has come so far. The word there is Ikeakpa. Ikeakpa is a Bini word for movement. So we are it's just a movement, and you know we have the shoes here, which shows the flow and the storm which the movement creates, you know, while working. I'm Osa 7. I'm an African urban artist and design consultant.
Hello and welcome to Space and Style, a property show designed to connect various stakeholders across the property value chain. We can also provide realistic solutions and deepen your knowledge about the interesting world of real estate. We shall showcase architectural design, interior design trends, lifestyle and real-time property news updates, and the right way to navigate through property development and investment. Join me every week on this channel as I take you through an exciting journey in the world of real estate.
Space and Style, 6:30 p.m. on Saturdays and 5:30 p.m. on Wednesdays.
Good afternoon. I am Messi Boko. This is the news update. The Plateau State Police Command has sealed the House of Representative complex in the early hours of today. The command is yet to issue an official statement on the action. It is not unconnected to the crisis among members of the House of Assembly. On Monday, a court reinstated Yakubu Abuk as the Speaker of the House. Abuk was impeached in October 2021 and had resumed duties with a few loyalists from the PDP and Labour Party. The House is divided into two factions, with one loyalty to the current Speaker, Yakubu Sander, and the other loyal to the reinstated Speaker, Ayuba Abuk. The Nigerian Senate has adopted the harmonized bill for an act to establish the Nigerian Peace Corps from a conference committee of both chambers of the National Assembly. It could be recalled that the Nigerian Peace Corps NPC Establishment Bill was passed in 2022 by the two chambers. The highlight of the adopted report is on Clause 38, subsection 1 of the version passed by the Senate, which is in conflict with the version passed by the House of Reps as contained under Clause 38, subsection 1. The Senate's version seeks dissolution of the existing Peace Corps of Nigeria and National Unity and Peace Corps. The House of Assembly version of the bill solely recommends the dissolution of the existing Peace Corps of Nigeria to be transformed into Nigerian Peace Corps when asserted to by President Muhammadu Buhari.
Brief report of the conference committee of both chambers of the National Assembly concerning a very minor discrepancy, and it had to do with the name and title of the bill. That's the only thing. Whereas the Senate passed this bill with the name National Unity and Peace Corps of Nigeria, the House version had Nigeria Peace Corps as contained in the original bill. Mr. President, both chambers, as represented by the committees duly constituted in accordance with the standing orders, met and considered this singular discrepancy and adopted the House version. And the committee recommended that the House version, which retained the word Peace Corps of Nigeria as a title, be retained. And we so move the committee.
The Senate do approve the conference committee report on the Nigerian Peace Corps Establishment Bill 2023. Say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Leader of the Senate.
With the adoption of the harmonized reports, the bill will now be transmitted to President Muhammadu Buhari for assent. Also, President Muhammadu Buhari has written to the Nigerian Senate seeking approval of the reimbursement of 9.69 billion naira to Plateau and Borno State as funds expected and expanded on federal roads, which fell within the period before the federal government put a stop to such intervention. President Muhammadu Buhari's letter was read by the President of Senate, Senator Ahmed Lawan, during plenary. According to the letter, the refund would be carried out in form of a promissory note payable to Plateau State and Borno as well. The government for the rehabilitation of the federal highways in the country, the amount would be gotten through the issuance of promissory notes in respect of the federal roads project executed by the state government respectively.
Dear distinguished Senate President, request for resolutions of the National Assembly for the reimbursement of the sum of 6,601,769,470 naira 99 kobo to Plateau State Government and the sum of 3,084,769,393 naira 63 kobo to Borno State Government through the issuance of promissory notes in respect of federal road projects executed by the states. The Senate may wish to be informed that the Federal Executive Council, FEC, at its meeting of 1st February 2023, approved approved the reimbursement of the sum of 6,769,470.99 kobo to Plateau State Government and the sum of 3,084,769,393 naira 63 kobo to Borno State Government through the issuance of promissory notes in respect of federal road projects executed by the states. The extract from the conclusion of the meeting of FEC, reference EC 3/2023-5, is attached as appendix. The Senate may wish to note that the approval by FEC was subsequent to the recommendation of an interministerial committee which reviewed the request for reimbursement by the state governments.
The remains of Senator Joseph Wires, the late Senate President in the Second Republic between 1979 and 1983, is yet to be buried 16 months after his death. Cross River State Government had inaugurated a funeral committee to plan for his burial. A year after and counting, the late Wires is yet to be laid to rest. The petition was raised by a lawmaker representing Cross River South Senatorial District, Senator Gershom Bassey, seeking the endorsement of the Red Chambers to take over the burial arrangement of late Wires. The lawmakers have described the situation as not only appalling but a national embarrassment, calling for urgent intervention. A minute of silence was also observed for the late wife of Senator Orji Uzor Kalu, who recently passed on the 3rd of April 2023. The People's Democratic Party in Taraba State has called on the governorship candidate of the NNPP in the just concluded polls to concede defeat rather than hit the polity with sponsored protests. The PDP condemned in protests purportedly staged by the NNPP members of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, in Abuja. Protesters demanded, among others, an outright cancellation of Taraba polls. While addressing the media in Jalingo, the party PRO in the state described the action as uncalled for and provocative, since there's a constitutional process through which they could address their grievances. He further described the protest as an affront on democracy, adding that Taraba electorate are prepared to defend their vote. Governor Yahaya Bello of Kogi State has vowed to bring the perpetrators behind the attacks on communities in Dakin local government area of the state to justice. The governor gave the assurance when he led heads of security agencies in the state for on-the-spot assessment of the communities. The governor was also represented by his deputy, Edward Onoja, who described the attacks as barbaric, though not very frequent in Kogi State.
Though not very frequent in Kogi State, and His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Kogi State, like you all know, frowns seriously at it and has promised that the perpetrators will be brought to book, as always. 2018, we only passed through this place to a boundary community in Bassa local government. It wasn't as if something happened here in 2018. It happened in a boundary community in but you have to pass through here to get there. And His Excellency came down here by himself. And for 4 years or 5 years, from 2018 to now, it's 5 years, there has not been any of such incidents. And this does just happen. And as we speak, the military are fully on ground. From the very day that the incident happened, they even forestalled more casualty and more deaths. They've been on ground since then, and they will remain on ground. And just like the Commissioner of Police confirmed to you, more deployments by the mobile police and anti-terrorist squad would also be on ground.
He assured that SEMA team had taken stock to ensure quick intervention in form of palliatives to cushion the effect of the pain for the community.
Well, it's unfortunate with in the convoy of the inspection of what the damage has been done at Odegunago, the deputy governor was there. We have seen the extent of damage, but to find out what brought about this animosity that translated into damage of human lives and property. So the bottom line will be that to go into investigation and find out the critical issues involved in this matter and what steps.
The Ogun State Police Command has assured residents of the state of a better working relationship and protection of lives and property. The Commissioner of Police, Frank Mba, made this known while inaugurating a police post at Kajola community along Shagamu Expressway. Frank Mba says that police would always be available for the people and ensure transparency and efficiency in the discharge of their constitutional duties. He also commended the donor of the police post and appealed to people and organizations to continue to support the police, adding that policemen are committed to making their living peaceful and their environment secured.
Members of the community must understand that police stations are not just for fighting crimes. When there are fire incidents in your community, the first person most people will call will be the police. Because oftentimes you don't even have the number of the firefighters. It is the police that will help you to link up with the firefighters. Perhaps when a child has fallen into the well, God forbid bad thing, it is the police you will call.
And to other parts of Africa, trial of Samora Kamara, presidential candidate Cyril Lone's main opposition party, has resumed in Freetown. Samora Kamara, leader of the All People's Congress, is currently on trial for corruption. If convicted, he will be barred from running for office or holding public office. Since December 2021, Samora Kamara has been on trial for purportedly embezzling public funds from a consulate renovation project in New York during his time as head of diplomacy. Outside Africa, former U.S. President Donald Trump has demanded that his court case should be moved from New York to Staten Island, accusing the case judge of bias against him. Trump, who is the front runner for the 2024 Republican nomination, has formally been charged in a watershed moment ahead of the 2024 presidential election as his supporters and detractors noisily rallied aside the Manhattan courthouse where he will appear. He is the first former president to face criminal charges. He was indicted by Manhattan grand jury last week in a case stemming from a 2016 hush money payment to a porn star, Stormy Daniels, though the specific charges are yet to be disclosed. And in business news, the federal government has said operators in the maritime sector may get about $700 million to acquire new vessels during the maiden annual lecture of the Institute of Maritime Studies at the University of Lagos, Akoka. The Director General of the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency said at least $700 million has been earmarked for a vessel financing fund. The director also added that the government was looking at each ship owners getting at least $25 million from the fund. Tech executive and co-founder of Cash App, Bob Lee, has been stabbed to death in San Francisco, California. He was 43 years old. The tech mogul, who formerly served as the chief technology officer of Square, was attacked in the city's downtown neighborhood at 2:35 a.m. on Tuesday morning, April the 5th. According to San Francisco's police, Lee was taken to a nearby hospital before he succumbed to his injuries, according to police reports. During the successful tech career, Lee also worked at Google, where he led Android's core liberal library team and launched the world's most used operating system, according to his profile on MobileCoin's official website. And that's it on the news update. For more stories, please follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and do subscribe to our YouTube channel at Plus TV Africa and Plus TV Africa Lifestyle. You can also view us on Limex on www.limex.tv and Glow TV apps anywhere in the world. My name is Mercy Ebokpo. Many thanks for watching.
For upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria. Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Bookie November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
Everything changed the day I decided to transform the quality of my life after going through some critical incident. One of such was at a point in my career when I was compelled to take a decision that was a complete detour to where I had envisioned my career. During that spell, I lived with a bruised self-confidence while stuck in a career path I was not completely aligned with. These, alongside other painful incidents, were dark periods of my life. They took me by surprise and disrupted the trajectory of my envisaged career and personal life. Instead of making me live as a victim, it made me want to transform my thoughts, emotions, decisions, actions, results, and the quality of my life. During those dark periods, self-inflicted anxiety about the future increased, while my self-esteem decreased. However, my passion was ignited when I reconnected with my Creator, seeking deeper meaning to life and reason for existence. Getting clarity about my purpose in life changed the narrative. It made it easier to find and be part of a worthy cause. Most importantly, I was committed to making my world a better place, one day at a time. God at the center of it all formed an anchor that kept me at peace to pursue life's successes. I got clarity on my identity and purpose in life, what values were important to me, how I wanted my emotional, physical, spiritual, relational, professional, financial, societal, and personal quality of life to feel. My name is Nkem Ofanavo, and I like to be known or called the Harmonizer. So what I do currently is, apart from being an author, is that I'm also a HR consultant, and I'm also a life coach and therapist. So I work with organizations, I work with individuals to coach, to train, and most importantly, to help organizations build, empower their people so we can transform the world of work. Okay, when I wrote The Harmonized Life, I wrote it from a personal experience, right? Because I was at a point in my life when I was stuck, and then I struggled with the critical areas of my life. So what I did to be able to take charge of my life was practically what I wrote in this book to help busy professionals, busy, overwhelmed, and burnt out professionals. Because when you are overwhelmed, when you are burnt out, there is little or nothing you can do to increase your performance at work. My book, I love to call it a self-leadership I love to call it a self-leadership or a personal leadership and organizational transformation book, because it's written for both the employees and organization. I would say yes. Funnily, Nigerians do, because when I was writing the book, intentionally, I was writing it for just to be able to help people and build my thought leadership. I wasn't writing it like, okay, I was going to make a lot of money from it. I was trying to use it as a tool, a platform to push what I intend to do in the long run. But then I realized that the rave, I could tell you that the first 1,000 copies that I printed, it's gone. And it's not like people just buy. People buy and they come back to me. A lot of things, share their personal experience, what they are struggling with. Others read and said, okay, I need you to come and speak to my team or my organization or meet my HR. So people read, actually. People read. I won't be able to tell you the percentage, but I could tell you that people who are intentional do read, because I believe that if you're a reader, you're also a leader. Yes, I will say, because I would say that writing has opened several doors, unimaginable doors for me, right? So when I was resigning from my paid employment, there were so many opportunities I didn't consider, right? All I wanted to do was basically work with organizations, but writing this book has opened several doors, several partnerships that I never imagined. I didn't imagine I was going to be a podcast host, but now I have a podcast named after my book, the Harmonized Life Podcast. So several opportunities it has opened for me. There's an element of truth to it, but like I said earlier, people who are intentional still do find time to read. I will give myself as an example. Apart from the fact that I wrote a book, I still read. Like every month, I always have a particular book that I read, because it helps me broaden my horizon, exposes me to things that I intend to build myself in terms of my capacity. So to some extent, yeah, Nigerians struggle to read, but there's still some percentage of people that are very intentional in terms of their personal development. Okay, so for that particular reason, because they hate their boss, right? And what I was trying to do there is, because this book is a personal leadership book, I want to be able to take you away from external validation to actually look inwards and find out why you are struggling to build a relationship with your line manager. So when you internalize a situation, it's easier for you to find the answers than when you leave it to external situation. Okay, my boss doesn't like me, or my colleague doesn't like me. But when you internalize it to say, okay, my efforts are not being recognized, then you start asking yourself questions. Am I really contributing? What am I doing? Right? So if you are able to look inward and see that truly you are delivering value, you are even going above and beyond, then you start asking yourself a question. So why is my effort not being recognized? Is it the culture of the organization? Do you understand? Or is it truly that my boss doesn't like me? But I will always like it to come from within, because you need to search yourself first and be sure that whatever problem has nothing to do with you. But if it has something to do with you, what can you do to change it? Well, I would say go after your dream, really. Because if you have a vision of becoming an author, don't start looking at all the things that you had to juggle with. Because when I had a dream about writing my book, mine was actually a dream. Like sleep, wake up, and while you were dreaming, I saw myself publishing launching my book. And when I woke up, funnily enough, I was in a coaching experience then. So I told my coach then that this is what happened. She was like, so what's the book going to be about? I said, I don't know, but I was going to think about it. So I had a 9-to-5 then. I could have given all the excuses that I'm too busy, my work is so demanding, but I found what worked for me. So then I was in a sales role. So most of the time, of course, we go out on calls. In that moment that we are out, maybe going to see a customer while we are in the car, I wrote 90% of my book with my phone, the manuscript. So I was always busy. I was optimizing every little time that I could get. So I know women, we have a lot of things that we could juggle with, but don't look at those things. Try and see how you can maximize the 24 hours that we all have each day and work on your dream, work on your vision. That's the most important thing, I'll say.
Star phone switch on, light on. Pressing command for internal. Expectedly back, DW. Still same pressure, 65. Your nav state with back and is perfect.
So what are the top decisions that the United States considers necessary that Nigeria must take? I like to think of my interactions as conversations, not interviews. And that's why I say asking questions is both an art and a science. Everyone says in Islam, you are allowed to have 4 wives. Is it mandatory? The right question enables answers that educate, inform, clarify, and help you, the viewer, to better understand the issue before making up your mind.
Our goal is to reduce from 10 to 2 days the time it takes to register businesses in Nigeria.
Join me every week on this station, Plus TV Africa, and gain exclusive access to my conversations. I'm Angela Ajetumobi.
Increase the reach of your events or business services. To advertise on Plus TV Africa, please call 0906 000 5719 or 0909 040 8408 or send an email to marketing@plustvafrica.com. Plus TV Africa. Big stories live here.
ojúmọ́ ti mọ́ ara mi ẹ̀gbéra nílẹ̀
One time I remember trekking from Oriental Hotel to Eco Hotel, dropping my CVs at every place. Dropping my CVs at different restaurants, different bars, different hotels, just hoping for something.
Pius is a graduate of computer science, but he drives an Uber for a living in the city of Lagos. Although underemployed, Pius is considered a tad lucky because 41% of the labor population with bachelor's degree.
Friends, I was like, okay, let me learn this Yahoo thing. Well, I just decided to keep pushing. Then I heard about this Uber thing. I got my first car. I was driving for somebody. I was supposed to be paying the person 25k a week. But sometimes when I walk, the car was having so much issues. If I make maybe 20, 30k in a day, the car, I'll end up spending like 27,000, 25,000 on fuel. So I couldn't keep up. I had to go for another car to another car before I finally found this one. And this one I'm driving to own the car, and I'm almost done with it.
Presently, 1 out of every 3 Nigerians that are able to work are unemployed. According to the National Bureau of Statistics, 23.2 million Nigerians are out of work. That is almost the entire population of Sierra Leone, Liberia, and Gambia combined. While Nigeria's youth population has increased much in the last 1.5 decades, the available economic opportunities are shrinking. Nigeria is facing an increasing youth bulge with over 123 million young citizens, but there are just not enough jobs for these youths.
From 2015 to date, I find myself jobless now. Presently, I'm managing a job, electrical job, which I invested my money and went to go and acquire some skills, which is providing money for me now.
Instead of me searching for a job, my father just advised me, instead of you working somewhere, killing yourself, you know what the country is now, just go into this. And I thought of it, I started making research, then I started doing my father's business. And that was how I started selling ads. I sell ads here and there.
Up to date, if I see a job, I will work, but if the pay is meaningful, because now they can't give me a job that will be earning like 45,000 or 50,000, because now through my electrical job I'm doing now, I earn more than the salary I think they will offer me now.
The dire unemployment situation, which some believe is more severe than reported, has been made worse by the coronavirus pandemic, which has led to shutdown of businesses. The adverse effects of this rising unemployment rate in Nigeria are becoming enormous and far-reaching.
Where there is unemployment, there is psychological desperation in itself, the sense of not having something to do. Then you also have the cogent economic consequence of not having money to spend because you're not working. This economic consequence then falls into a sociological consequence, which is a criminal side, because if people cannot fend for themselves, they either beg or steal or engage in any kind of disruptive criminal act. For these reasons, for these 3 reasons of psychology, sociology, and economic reasons, it is very important that we take the issue of unemployment very seriously.
When you are not able to meet your basic needs, when you that were able to put food on your table, you're now struggling, you that you were able to give somebody 5,000 naira, you're the one that is now begging 5,000 naira, it affects your sense of worth.
The unemployment problem is compounded for those living with disabilities who have to deal with extra hurdles, people like Christiana, who is a visually impaired business owner and tutor in Lagos.
We have this misconception that when there is no sight, there is nothing you can do. But in my own case, it's not like that. But one of the problems that we have is like people never had that trust with people living that disability that they can deliver it. And at the same time, people look down on us, low esteem, and there is discrimination and stigmatization that you cannot deliver.
The problem of exclusion is also gendered, as the numbers show. While the rate of unemployment is high, women are the worst hit. In stock terms, there are 30% more unemployed women than men. Women face barriers that men don't have to deal with.
So the woman who's at home and who's caring for the children, or who's the natural carer, would we say that that person is employed or not? I would dare say that they are employed. Now, we may have as high as 10%. Like I said, I think it's more. We may have a lot more women not employed in the formal structure as we know it, either within the corporate world or perhaps down the line of entrepreneurship. And there are very many different reasons and factors for that. But the starting point usually has to do with, the girl-child education, as we know, based on our culture and based on the long-standing statistics that we have that show that the girl child is not as educated. We don't take the same opportunities for the girl child as we've taken for the boy child due to cultural nuances. Traditionally, we believe that we should, educate the boys and not the girls. So let's go further up the pipeline. You do have girls who on graduation start and compete as well as the boys in terms of their careers, in terms of paid employment, and we're seeing a lot more of them now in terms of entrepreneurship. However, what tends to happen over time is, again, they tend to drop out when it's time perhaps to have a family. So it's really down sometimes to the choices that are made. And what we must do to try and balance things out is make sure that the choices that are open to women are actually more. So what are those things making them drop out? What are, for example, the reasons why midway through your career, you have to make a choice to say, I need to focus on my home? What then can employers do to ensure that these women are given the opportunities? How can we expand the choices such that I can manage my home, manage my career, still look after my children? And sometimes it's very simple things like, do we have the facility for childcare?
Unemployment in Nigeria is not just about availability of jobs, but also about the education system producing the right type of manpower in the right quality and quantity to industrialize the country. State actors and stakeholders say many Nigerian youths are not employable because their skills are largely divorced from labor requirements.
I think, in my view, reviving our technical and vocational education and training systems, it's not optional. As a matter of fact, it's where we must go, pari passu, our other academic institutions like universities and co, such that you'll find that we have a lot more focus around disciplines, around trades, around disciplines, around specializations. We're in I'm in a room now, and I'm in your station, where journalism is a profession, right? But then there are also certain skill sets, whether it's graphics, whether it's creatives, that work very well with your industry. Now, not all of the skill sets that you need in this radio house require a university degree. So a lot of them can be honed, right from even maybe senior secondary or even post-secondary through different diploma programs and things like that. Now, that's what we must do in terms of our skilling process, so that you have what you call a multiple pathway to your aspiration in life.
Vocational training is the key, is the answer. Germany, all industrialized nations, they all depend on these skills training. They have a robust, developed infrastructure for skills training. And so we cannot, no economy, no country can really move forward without having a developed structure, a developed ecosystem, a developed environment to train people, to send people for internship, or to train people, intern people, and eventually create employment for people. Because eventually it is those people who are trained, it is those people who have gone through internship, it is those people who have become employable, who eventually becomes employers themselves.
But where are these vocational schools? There are just about 123 government-approved vocational schools across Nigeria. Aside this, there is also a certain stereotype that discourages students from enrolling in such schools.
The reason why some people don't like vocational work, depending on the area of specialization, you have to, when you want to work, you have to change your wares, and some don't like dirty work. Like me, I'm a plumber. People don't really know. Once I'm done in site and going home, people don't really believe that I'm a plumber, because maybe my stature or the way I look, so people don't really believe unless they see me while working on site.
So unfortunately, the number of people who are applying, to learn skill and all of that is still very low in number. And I actually understand why it is low in number. When you operate in an environment that glorifies certificate over skill, when you operate in an environment where the skilled workers are not properly paid, when you operate in that environment where there is no glory in having skilled work, of course, the youth will not be interested in that. But when you operate in a society that celebrates certification without adequate work, and that do not pay people living wages for their skills, then of course there's going to be very low interest in that particular field of work.
In the absence of white-collar jobs, many youth have turned to the informal sector, earning a living with small businesses and creating employment also. Presently, these small businesses account for 96% of businesses and 84% of employment in the country. Despite the significant contribution of SMEs to the Nigerian economy, the sector is still struggling with growth.
For me, there are three things. The first one is infrastructure. Power, for example, access to markets. When you are an SME or a member of the informal sector, if you are producing something in small quantities, after you've paid your rent, you've bought your raw materials, you have your equipment, you of course have to supplement power, because we don't have stable power in the country. So I think that's one of the major issues. Another issue is double tax or multiple taxation. A lot of businesses, there's no clarity on who they should be paying what taxes to. So for example, I once worked with one of the mobility startups in Lagos in the bike hailing space. And whilst we were, trying to speak with the LIRS, for example, about personal income tax or some basic tax from the drivers, we were obviously also having to deal with the unions, with their daily levies and all of that. So therefore, things like that will stifle businesses and informal sector players.
Although the informal sector may be having an influx of educated youth as players, there is also the snag of these graduates being majorly unequipped for entrepreneurship.
The world is moving from theoretical based learning to case-based learning, where you sit and you study case studies, you study practical lessons about scenarios, right, for business. I think it was Obasanjo, regime that tried to introduce entrepreneurship studies as one of the general GES courses or general studies courses. And, you look at the syllabus of that course, it's the same theoretical stuff, right? So there is nothing that prepares them properly for the challenges, for the realities, for the type of dynamics that they will be facing if they go out into the business world, right? If you look at the Igbo apprenticeship culture, it's an amazing learning point, because everything does not have to be. All your learning, your education doesn't have to come from the classroom, right? It does not always have to come from the classroom. So I think if government was serious enough, right, I would expect that the SMEDAN, for example, should have put in some type of structural support for the Igbo apprenticeship model, so that we can replicate those models across various societies.
The government acknowledges there is a bulging youth population with overwhelming unemployment figures. They, however, also insist they are addressing the problem.
The government has been consciously and in a deliberate manner trying to address the issue of the youth bulge. It's not just about the numbers. It's also about what are the needs of the variegated strata of the youth population. First, education is key, because education is power. Education is the greatest weapon against poverty. So the government has committed so much into education. There's emphasis on technical and vocational education, on the skills that you have. That's one. Two, as regards to the new technology, the digital economy, the ICT as it is, we've seen that our youth are IT savvy, we've seen that our youth have innovative minds. And my ministry, which is the Ministry of Youth, for instance, just during the COVID era, that's my first year in office, we were able to train close to 100,000 people on digital skills, which is still ongoing. We have quite a number of other skills. But the emphasis all around has been that the need to upskill our youth is a central agenda, but also to match the skills with the jobs available. There's been a mismatch in the past. But under this government, we've seen a deliberate effort to make sure that the upbringing of our youth, where that the skills they acquire matches the jobs available in the market, so that you just don't train them and throw them back into the job market. I know that you must have read it. In 5.5 years, this government has created 45 youth-focused programs. Some of them are empowerment programs. Some of them are entrepreneurship training. Some of them are technology training. And these programs are domiciled in various ministries.
Nigeria has not lacked special intervention programs. There are many of them. Yet, there are many unemployed youths, as these intervention programs have failed in dropping the increasing unemployment rates. Critics argue that these programs are unimpressive.
For the intervention, or rather the interventions of the government, I'm going to score them high on intention, and I'm going to score them low on performance or on result. High on intention because the act of rolling out a lot of intervention schemes, like the NPower, You Win, and the various ones, including trader money, all to activate employment, shows that there are people thinking, there are people of good intention out there. But the method to which they've approached it and the results they're getting makes me score them low on it, because in 2021, it is not the role of government to be creating jobs for people or to be doling out money for individuals to grow their businesses. What the government needs to do are three, really, is to overall create an environment that allows employment to be created. Who create employment is businesses. So the government needs to create an environment that allows business to thrive and create employment, and thus doing, fight unemployment.
Government will tell you, BOI, CBN, all of these guys, they'll tell you that we are providing interventions for MSMEs. So we have this 10 billion, we have this 100 billion for MSMEs. And then they will give you the guidelines. And then in the guidelines, you will see that they need you to be registered with CAC, they need you to have a bank account, they need you to have a business plan, they need you to have a financial statement. Look, that already by design excludes majority of those in the MSME space.
To bridge its unemployment gap, experts say Nigeria will have to create 5 million jobs annually for the next 10 years. Is the Nigerian government ready to tackle this problem?
You know, that question is a question for Minister of Labor. It's a question for me, Minister of Youth Development. It's a question for the Minister of Finance. It's a question for the NBS, you know. But I only wear one cap. And my desire is that the youth unemployment will drop. What am I doing in that direction as a minister in this government? Is to make sure that we win our youth off this idea of just putting together a resume and looking for a job, a white-collar job, an office job, a 5 to 9 job. There's no country in the world that has been able to solve its youth unemployment problem without turning its youth into entrepreneurs. And that is the whole rationale behind the establishment of the Nigerian Youth Investment Fund. The emphasis is on two major things. That is, must invest in our youth, provide them the needed credit and capital, access to that capital that can make them become wealth creators. Second, we need to focus ourselves educationally. We need to provide technical skills and vocational skills. China, 2 years ago, decided to close down over 200 universities or 250 universities and then turn them into vocational and technical schools, because the emphasis now in the developed world is the skills and what you can produce with your knowledge and your hand, not sitting down and carrying files in an office. So we need that paradigm shift. The AFDB leads clearly in the fact that we should move from youth empowerment to youth investment. That don't give our youth handouts, but give them tools, give them resources, give them credit and finance so that they can start. And look at this country. Our youth are they're hugely talented. The creative and entertainment industry dominates. Look at Nollywood, for instance. Look at where it is right now. And look at the musical world. Our Nigerian musicians, massive. But there's also a value chain. So there's an emphasis on looking at what's the value chain in agriculture.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another edition of